a solid red light. That's a good sign.
That's good.
Can you switch your radio mic on, Carlos?
Yeah.
Should just get a splash screen.
We're sorry you didn't pay your bill.
You just get a splash screen.
Please contact the business office on Monday morning.
Well, there's lots of people in the chat room anyway. That's good.
That is good.
Although at least 10 of them are in the chat room, in the chat room.
That's okay.
Okay, that's okay. That doesn't take a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah.
As long as
Do
the
the
video's
pop-out
not
chat.
running too.
Do the pop-out chat. That's
The pop-out chat.
pop out.
Pop out.
I'm sorry. The tablets are starting to work.
Oh no.
It's the best I've felt all day.
I'm so sorry. You should have tracked me down earlier in the day.
My liquid tablet is starting to work.
I told Matt not to mix the blue ones with the green ones, but never listens. Okay,
I'm just glad
it's
I'm
good.
on the table.
My liquid tablet is starting to
There you go.
Yeah, I'll take that.
It's officially live.
Yeah. There we are then.
Okay, Tony S has said nice audio, so that's a good sign. And Lane Street has said what a beautiful splash screen.
Oh yeah. Indeed.
And then we've got Mariana who said, "Hey, where's the video?"
Well, that's something that Matt has to answer.
Yeah, well, no, I can put the video up. I was just.
I know.
When we started, the whole suspense.
Exactly. What's behind the curtain?
Mr. Sebastian has just tried to ring us.
Oh, Don Sebastian.
No,
He's got a habit of ringing up when we're doing live shows.
Don, we'll call you if you want to be on the show.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and that goes for everyone. We're not just singling out Don. So yeah, if you're listening to the stream and you want to become part of the show via Skype, not any of you again, please. You're right here. We have a microphone and a camera, everything. So for those of you at home, playing at home, and if you want to join us via Skype, please in the chat room tell us your Skype ID, and we'll call you.
Bear Pictures in the chat room says, "I'd like to be on the show."
Okay, Fabian. And about 30 seconds from now, he'll hear me say that we need to know his Skype ID.
And Dave Abbey as well, over in New York, he said he'd like to Skype in.
Okay.
And Dr. Steph, she said she'd love to Skype in as well.
Right.
And
Oh,
I'd like to Skype out. Can I do that?
That's what I was trying to say.
It's not going to take you away from here.
Jeff, have you got call blocking in case Pitt tries to call?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
What is that, man?
Captain Al says, do we have call blocking in case Pilot Pip
okay.
wants to call?
Yeah, did everyone catch the title of Pip's latest episode? Yeah. I thought that was quite, yeah. I'm not at Pittsburgh, or something along the lines.
Definitely not.
Sulky.
Apparently he wasn't going to talk about anything to do about Pittsburgh on his show. Yeah.
You know,
And he added kind of bar humbug and... yeah.
It's called the Matt Pittsburgh Special.
That's it.
it's
And
really
if anyone doesn't know, Pip's actually, I think he's in Wales camping.
Yeah.
And the weather there at the minute is fantastic. It's flooded and, yeah.
he's going to be more miserable.
Oh, good night. Take care.
All right, thanks. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching. Wow, that's pretty rude. We haven't even started.
That might be a record for someone that is. Had enough.
Yikes.
No, we tried to console. Well, you can't. have pictures. We sent some pictures to Pip earlier.
I think we should have a competition tonight, apart from the one we're already going to have, is to guess who didn't put sunscreen on at the air show today.
me. A lot of it. I see a lot of you didn't either.
I missed here. So, yeah.
Nick's covering. What are you covering up your eyes for?
I saw that one. Yeah.
I was going to say, Al, you are. I can feel the heat from here.
No, we all ate.
Okay.
So far today, I've had breakfast,
Oh, wow.
deep fried Oreos,
I'm impressed.
and ice cream.
Deep fried, and you're going to enter an eating contest. Staff.
Yes.
I guess.
Are we good to go?
I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let's do it.
Micah, do you want to count us down? Just do a countdown, it'd be good.
APG from Pittsburgh in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome everyone then to the Wings Over Pittsburgh APG 2017 Extravaganza live. Woohoo! So that's it, we're kicking things off then. So we're going to introduce everyone who's here on the panel. Well, you all should know who's here really, but we're going to start right at the bottom end there. He's the man who everyone knows. I didn't mean bottom end. Anyway. He's been on more podcasts than I've got fingers and toes. And it's our main man, Micah.
Hello, everyone. So great to be here. And let me say it's great to be here next to my buddy, Captain Al.
So next to Micah is someone some of you may know. He's notorious in the UK. He's the king of Royal Jet, and he's a great lover of everything Boeing. It's Captain Al.
Thank you.
That's payback for what you took pictures of earlier on my camera. So, anyone wants to know? Ask me later. And next to Captain Al is one of the fantastic hosts of the Airplane Geeks podcast, and it's Pasadena Brian.
Oh, I thought it was Matt.
Yeah, you're skipping Brian.
And just for Captain Al and Captain Nick, I have.
So next to Brian is the head honcho of the Airplane Geeks podcast,
The Ringmaster.
the Ringmaster. Yeah, and so give a warm welcome to Max Flight.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next to Max, this man really doesn't need any introduction. Anything historical with military greyness, he is the man to find. So give a big hand to David Vanderhoff.
Hi, everyone.
So next in the list, wearing his marvellous red cap that matches his red cheeks, it's the captain you all love. It's Captain Nick.
Hi, everybody. Lovely to be here.
And keeping check on Captain Nick, up next, it's someone who loves to jump out of aircraft, fly aircraft, and if you give her some Band-Aids, she'll fix an aircraft. It's Dr. Steph.
Hi, everyone. I don't know about fixing the aircraft. I don't think you want me doing that.
Is it on?
Okay, so this next chap needs no introduction really at all, because it's the reason why everyone starts a podcast.
No.
Including me. It's it's the fantastic Captain Jeff.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I think Max is over there. He's the one that is the godfather, the grandfather of podcasting. I mean, you started when? 2000?
2008.
2008.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't start until
Great
2009.
grandfather.
Great grandfather. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So next in the lineup, he's a tech genius. He's the man with the cables, and he's very able. It's Neville Bounds.
Hello.
And next to Neville is my co-host on Plane Talking UK. It is the one who landed a 737-800 at Heathrow in a simulator perfectly a few weeks ago. It's Matt Smith. Hello, everyone.
I'm not very good at selfies.
And I'm Carlos. And there we go, that's me.
The host of the incredibly crazy Plane Talking UK podcast.
So we're going to hand it over to Jeff to kick off proceedings.
Then I guess I need to push some buttons. airline pilot guy, something or other extravaganza. What was it again?
Wings over Pittsburgh.
Wings over Pittsburgh.
2017.
2017 extravaganza and all that. Live. Hello, I'm Captain Jeff, your host, broadcasting live from the Courtyard by Marriott in Coraopolis, Pennsylvania at Wings Over Pittsburgh. And a big round of applause for our awesome live audience, please. Yes. In this episode, we're going to talk about the air show. We're going to talk about how everybody that's here up front on the panel and impressions of the show and what they were excited about and more. We have some feedback from folks that couldn't make it with us today. We're going to play that, and we're going to also have another Plane Tales, Flight 427, a crash in Pittsburgh. What a downer. That and more. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in their upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. Flight 271 is ready for pushback. Nice try. They changed my script again.
And tell everybody here to keep their power devices off for our bandwidth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. And it's so nice to see all of these red faces. Yeah, that's because the weather actually turned out to be pretty nice today. They were expecting kind of cruddy, overcast, and misty weather, and the sun broke out, and we have a lot of sunburned faces to show for it. And so it's so nice that so many people were able to make it here live in the audience. And for those of you that couldn't make it, we really miss you. We really wish that you could have made it with us. And we're going to hopefully have some of those joining us on the show today via Skype. And I think we should all, kick off this whole thing first by doing something that was started in Farnborough in July of last year, our big extravaganza. And that has absolutely nothing to do with aviation, and that's nugget eating contest. Yeah. And the Dr. Steph and the Captain Al are going to have a rematch. And I believe, Dr. Steph, you won by a few...
I won by a nugget last
One nugget.
year. One nugget.
Was pretty
It
close.
27 to 28, if I...
And I'm pretty convinced that your nuggets are smaller than mine.
But her nuggets are much nicer.
Who purchased the nuggets last year, Al?
Yeah, but they said some Americans came in and there was some undercounter
There was some tampering?
tactics.
Is that what you're
Yeah,
accusing
there's
here?
definitely some nugget tampering.
The only difference is this year, the guys had 10 minutes last year at Farnborough. They're going to have 5 minutes this year.
And then whatever, we'll just continue eating after this, too. So it'll be fine.
I'm
5
famished.
minutes. I am, too.
Let's pull a chair up on either side of the table.
Okay. So if you want to prepare yourselves,
If you're
guys.
listening to the audio podcast, you're going to have to watch the video.
So while they prepare the chicken nugget eating contest, you guys may be wondering why there's pens and paper around the room. You should find, if on the desks here, there's some pens and paper. We're going to have a competition on tonight's show, and the prize is a 2 CD set of some of the great stories that Mike has done for our show, The Geeks, APG, Plane Safety Podcast.
Don't say any more. You're
And
give away
a
the
lot
answer.
more. So they're going to have questions anyway. You're going to have some question to answer to win the CDs, and I shall mark or collect the pieces of paper in towards the end of the show. So if you're all listening, the question is: there's 6 podcasts that Micah has had his segments played on. 6. I've already given you 3 of those. If you've forgotten, oh well. But there's 6 podcasts that Mike has had his segments played on. Can you name all 6 podcasts that Micah's segments have been played on? So the pens and papers are here. If you want to grab, there are more than one sheet here. If you want to grab a pen and, hand them back to me when you're ready.
With your name on them.
Oh, and don't forget to put your name on as well, yeah. And Carl, just because you come from Norwich, I'm not going to let you win, okay? Yeah.
So,
And
So we're going to start the time.
preparation-
Mike has got the timer.
are we ready?
Just doing some independent adjudicating.
Maybe some.
Contestants, are you ready to begin?
Okay.
We will begin after a countdown from 3. Just like we begin, it will be the countdown will go 3.
So if everyone want to count down,
The
ready?
countdown will go 3, 2, 1, and on 1 you may start. So the Chicken McNuggets eating contest, live from Wings Over Pittsburgh, will begin
In
3,
3, 2, 1.
Go.
Okay, so I'd just like to point out as well that Al has today starved himself. Al has only had 3 4-course meals today, along with ice cream and various other bits and pieces today. Steph, on the other hand, has been very good. She's only had a bowl of ice cream today, so yeah.
And I'm very disappointed to say that Al did not share his ice cream with me this year.
Right, do you want to carry on the show then, Jeff?
Hey, Carlos, were the
Just on
nuggets
a
equal
technical
size?
note,
The
Carl,
nuggets are equal sizes, yeah.
I just hope those nuggets don't get anywhere near that very expensive video projector that's right next to them.
Yeah, don't spill the nugget bits on the projector.
I want to know is, does the sauces actually help? And what was the choice of the sauce?
Well, you can't ask them while
We
they're
are
eating.
down 1 minute. We are at 4 minutes. 4 minutes remaining.
Oh, I'll come and grab it off here. So if anyone else has got a completed competition form, just give me a wave. So again, that was 6 podcasts in total that Mike has been on.
Committed podscest.
Committed
with.
podscest, yeah.
Oh, not a good term.
It's Mike and not me.
Yeah, well, he stole it from me, so
I did.
I'll take evil credit for that one.
Okay, it's all on you.
How are we doing for time, Mike?
We are at 3 minutes and 14 seconds.
Okay. I can't help noticing that Al's finished his first box. Steph.
3 minutes.
Excuses.
It's a good job Al's got an XXL t-shirt.
I will give you a count at every 30 seconds up until the last 30 when we will start counting down.
This is frightening, folks. They're going down in less than a bite and a half.
I don't think I see Al chewing. We are halfway over. We are at 2 minutes and 30 seconds with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Could someone from the back please bring up another Angry Orchard hard cider? Because I believe that Al is going to need one by the time he's done with this. We are coming up on 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Let's see how the guys are doing. Oh dear, Steph, you may well lose your crown.
Stop chewing.
I definitely think Al's taking this more seriously this year.
Al he's definitely taking this very seriously.
So is this like the America's Cup? Whoever wins is the next host country for the McNugget Challenge?
Probably so. Yeah. I have a feeling the only thing that's going to stop Al is his heart attack.
1 minute and 30 seconds. There are 90 seconds remaining.
Can we get those paddles ready, somebody, please?
He is sitting right across from a doctor. I think it's fairly safe.
That's true, but we need a volunteer for CPR.
Being that he's in
mouth to
competition
mouth.
with the doctor,
we
if
have-
he
do
needs
we-
to
do we have
highlight,
any
I believe
paramedics
we'll
in
have to
here?
wait. We are down to 1 minute. There are 60 seconds left.
1 minute call. 1 minute call.
You know, I'd pay money to see Rob Mark do this.
We all would.
I think we all would.
Now you see that.
Oh,
see
look at
that-
aggressive behavior. Oh.
Last spot.
45 seconds. 45 seconds.
You missed all this fun last year, Max. So
I can't believe what attitude Captain Al threw that box down with.
30 seconds. We are down to 30 seconds.
you know there's fines for littering in this country, Al.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nuggets down.
Nuggets down. Valves closed.
Wait a minute, you're not done chewing.
Okay. Just trying to think. Do I count the half-eaten ones? So Al has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left. Steph, you're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Captain Al makes it. Congratulations to the winner and new champion, Captain Al. Now let's go do a power on stall.
But folks, Steph is still eating them.
She's still hungry.
She quite likes them.
Awesome.
Well, they
All right.
survived, Jeff.
They did survive. Congratulations, Captain Al. Nice job. Nice job.
Oh, victory is so sweet.
And sour.
That's the dip. That's the dip.
Hey.
Wow, that didn't take long.
She just
folks.
threw it down.
Have some nuggets. So the choice of sauce is limited. Anyone on the top table for a nugget?
Yeah.
Sure.
Send them over. Yeah.
Sweet and sour all right now?
Perfect.
Michael Williams in the chat room has just said, this is fascinating. All of my favorite aviation podcasters together in one spot. Never had the chance to actually see what these all look like. Thank you, whoever put it together, and we're sorry if we're making you sick.
So how's our contest going? Are
Yes, that's all right.
So we've got one entry in so
we just
far.
one?
Only one.
Come on, let's get some more entries here. Might have to do this verbally.
Come on, six podcasts.
Six podcasts. Well, why don't we see what
Who
we
knows?
have?
Maybe they have 5.
For fun. Huh? Yes, please.
Yep. What's this we have going on? Here you go. Take one, pass one along. Like at school.
These taste terrible.
You got the.
We bought them several hours ago.
What are you looking for, Cars?
They're not exactly fresh.
How long
So
has
did
this
it-
chicken been dead?
Did everyone get a pad and paper who wants
Did
to
anybody-
enter the competition?
Yeah, is everybody entered that wants to enter? Oh, there's one there.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we bought them hours ago.
I don't know. It was.
The guest book.
Oh,
I don't know. I started and then
And
I
if you're
put it
watching this online, this is not our normal podcast.
Steph, we did say we'd put out a shout out to the McDonald's that
Oh,
supplied them.
we did. Gosh, I don't have the receipt, but thank you
Well,
to
it's
McDonald's.
The one
And,
near here that's not at the airport. We'll
yeah, it's not at the airport. I'm not sure if it's still in Coriopolis or Moon Township or wherever, but I think they're on University Boulevard or something.
Anyone else?
let's Google it.
Excellent McDonald's, excellent customer service, and those
That's,
guys were
that's another entry.
and very quick. Yes.
Okay.
Any more entries, or are we still filling in?
Dave Abbey has one in the chat room. I'm not going to comment on it if you want to look at the chat.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Dead air. This is not a good thing in radio. But good thing this is not radio.
Dave Abbey says Fred would have won.
I'm thinking with
Okay,
the
here's
largely
another
American
entry over
audience
here.
that we've stunned them into
Carl
silence.
has an entry.
An American being beaten,
You said Carl?
beaten in a food eating
No, he-
contest has never happened.
His name is Carl.
I'll let my country
Oh, is that yours,
down.
Carl? All right, you've won. Well done. Yeah. No, I said no bias, no. Right, that's 3 entries in. Oh, we'll get them in.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're going to keep on doing this throughout the
we'll
thing.
carry on, yeah.
Okay. Well, shoot, I just got a text. It says Miami Hick has just arrived at the airport, and he needs somebody to pick him up. Okay, thank you, Brent. Appreciate it. All right. So anybody, what do I want to do here? You want to? Why don't we play some feedback that we received from the APG community regarding this special show that we're doing, the special meetup, from a couple of folks who weren't able to join us. So let's start off with David Abbey, who has just texted us in the chat room trying to win the contest. We're not sure how you did, David, yet, but we'll find out soon. But in the meantime, we're going to play your greeting.
Good evening, Airline Pilot Guy, Plane Talking UK, and the Airplane Geeks podcast. This is David Abbey calling from New York. Just wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful meetup at the Wings Over Pittsburgh this weekend. And a special thank you to Captain Richard Bell for coordinating the event. And it's so wonderful that so many of you have traveled so far to meet up with your aviation geek friends. What a great community we have, and wish I could be there, but I'll probably catch you all another time and see you on the internet. And be safe. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David, and especially thank you for thanking the man that's really responsible for this air show, or a big part of it anyway, and that is Captain Rick Bell. He's not here yet with us, is he? No? He is on his way. Okay, great. We'll...
Stuck in traffic.
What? Oh, yeah, we heard about it. Yeah, pretty bad. So, Captain Richard Bell, man, we're going to thank him when he gets here, but David, we'll make sure that we forward your thanks to him. And thank you for taking the time to send us some feedback. And we also have some feedback from the Southern Hemisphere, Matt Buntingford.
G'day guys, Matt coming to you from Melbourne, Victoria. Wishing you all the very best at Wings Over Pittsburgh. What an awesome occasion for everyone to get together. Thank you, Captain Rick Bell, for your efforts in making this happen. I know it's been a long time coming, and a lot of you guys have been waiting for a while to get there. It's finally here, and I know you guys are all together and probably sharing a few amber ales between you, and if you haven't, you should have one in your hands. Wish we could be there, but obviously the tyranny of distance prohibits. Looking forward to catching up with some of you later this year, but...
On here. Whoa! Wow! It's Miami Hick! Oh!
I'll hand this over to Miami Hick.
Hey, this is Miami Hick Live. I just flew in from Atlanta, and boy, my arm's tired. That's because I flew United, and they kept dragging me off the plane. I'm just kidding. I flew Spirit. I know why they call it Spirit too. You hit one bump in that plane, you're gonna become a Spirit. And the flight attendants, they sure do let you know where you stand. Flight attendant got on the intercom and said, restrooms in the front of the plane are for first class passengers only. Restrooms for coach passengers are located back in LaGuardia. The air show was pretty cool today. They had a stealth bomber out there. Did y'all see it? No? I guess it's working. They did have a couple of mad dogs out there. It took me a while to find them. They were way back in the pre-World War II section.
That's not funny.
It reminds me of an air show my girlfriend took me to a couple years ago. There were oohs and ahs and near misses and near collisions. I was biting my nails. I was on the edge of my seat. Finally, after 20 minutes, she got the car parked. And I'm just kidding about the mad dog. Captain Jeff always likes to try to impress people by saying he's got tablets in the plane now. He uses tablets up there in the cockpit, but what he doesn't tell everybody is they're stone tablets. And Captain Jeff, he puts a smile on everybody's face because he's a joke. And Dr. Steph, she's a doctor, skydiver, a pilot, marathon runner, an overachiever.
Yes.
And Captain Nick, I was going to give him a nasty look, but he's already got one. But I'm just glad to be a part of the community, and I'm proud to call everybody my friend, except for Nev. Mine Hick, over and out. Thank you, thank you.
I like your hat.
Oh,
That's
thank
nice.
you.
I love the stripes.
Yeah.
Now I owe Matt Buntingframe an apology. We kind of interrupted his feed, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save it until Rick gets here. But apparently the two pieces of feedback that we received all are thanking Captain Rick Bell, and he's not here yet, so that was bad timing on my part. So we'll play this, Matthew. If you're watching via the online thing, we'll play it again a little bit later after Rick has gotten here. So let's see. What do you want to do next? Do you want to let's say hello again to our guest panelists. Micah, of course, we know that he is on many different podcasts, and we're not going to say how many because that would spoil the contest, and we're still doing right now. So take it away, Micah. What do you think about this show and meeting all these people here?
It's really awful.
Yeah. Okay, can you cut Micah's mic? I told you. Okay, thank you.
It's just amazing. It's fabulous to see everyone, all my friends up here, who would have expected to see them all within a little less than a year. So that's pretty special. But today was rather unbelievable out at the air show. Those of you who were there know what I'm talking about because you saw it all. Those of you in the chat room, I'm sorry you missed it. And let me talk about the two biggest highlights. The biggest one, the most surprising highlight that I had today was finding out that this product here this wonderful Equate Ultra Protection Sunscreen is also pepper spray. Because if you get it in your eye, you're not going to be able to stay wherever you are. So I was at the air show till about 1:30 this afternoon and then had to come home and take a shower. It was just miserable. But I do have to say that the Air Force medical staff was incredible. They flushed me, but like any other floater, I just wouldn't go away. And
I must just say, when we saw Micah being treated by the medical staff, he had many women around him.
Very clever.
That is very true.
But
But
they were women? Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
I couldn't tell. I mean, you
He
told
had a
me
smile
they
on
were.
his
I had
face.
this in my eye. But we did do. I did manage to do a couple of interviews, and two of them were particularly really interesting for me. And one was we got, and which hopefully Brian does have on his phone, and we'll be able to edit together. But we got an audio walking tour all the way around the F-35, from the nose to tail and back every side, and it was really amazing. And then I got to go inside the C-54, the DC-4, that was actually took part in the Berlin airlift, and got to meet the captain and pilot, who is also working on a C-96 that he's restoring and should have flying within a few weeks.
C-97.
C-97. Thank you, David. Thank you very much, David. And should have flying in a few weeks, and it will be the only one that is flying. And what was also fascinating to me was that he personally knows and has flown with the Candy Bomber, and Captain Nick told us the story of the Candy Bomber in one of his plane tales, and it was just a great tour and a marvelous inspiration. So that was the highlights of my day.
Excellent. Thank you, Micah. Captain Al, all the way from somewhere in the UK, in the northern part of England.
Where we don't get sunshine, obviously.
Yes, you're looking a little red-faced.
Yeah, I've had a great day. I did a quick tour of all the catering facilities, checked them out. Started the day with a chicken kebab, and then moved on to some ice cream. But I had to hold back because obviously, as you can see, I took the chicken nugget eating very, very seriously. So I've had to abstain, but I will be hitting every single catering outlet tomorrow at the show. I'm going for it.
So what have you, well, I guess we know what you find best about the whole show. It's the catering.
I was quite impressed, actually. When you sometimes go to these events, you see things and you think, oh, they look quite nice, and then you get it and you go, not really. But the chicken kebab, I think a few guys here had the chicken kebab, and they really did live up to their looks. So, I'll be making a return visit there for 2 or 3.
Yeah, skip the pork roll, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's Pasadena Brian, and out from the West Coast. And what's your impression of the show here, Brian, and anything?
Well, certainly so far the most memorable thing was my United flight experience getting here.
Right. We heard about that.
Yeah, there's a bit of a challenge there. No, it was actually meeting all of you guys in the audience and other people that I met at the show. There was a guy that had a Airplane Geeks T-shirt on, and so there's a listener out there, and so just running into these people were, and that to me has been the best part of the show.
Excellent. Max Flight.
Well, the people, blah, 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 blah. The engines. It was a good day for Pratt & Whitney. We had the F-22, we had the F-16s, we had the Geico Sky Typers for you round engine folks. We had the F-35, which brings me to my first major disappointment of the event. That was Micah. When Drone Mama and I got up and saw the F-35, we just made a beeline. We didn't stop. She actually worked on that program at Pratt, so we have a strong connection to the F-135 engine that's in the F-35. So we get up there and we're talking to the pilot there. I'm getting the mic out of the bag. The recorder's getting ready. I asked him if we can do an interview. He says, sure, he asked me where I was from. I said, Airplane Geeks. He said, oh, I already talked to somebody from Airplane Geeks. And he pulls out this card, and it's Micah. He says, oh, yeah, we talked for about 25 minutes. So I said, all right. He was actually willing to talk some more. But I said, no, if Micah's got 25 minutes, that's plenty. So
can I just say that Brian also had those 25 minutes,
Those two of you, huh?
And Carlos had those 25 minutes. So it's really only about 8 minutes apiece.
He's deflecting the blame.
He is.
Well, one of the best parts about that interview is, so we do this incredible interview, and then I go to save the file, and the file's not there. And I almost have a heart attack, and then I clicked around a bit
and
more.
Just remind me, what is your sort of day-to-day job? Is it due to technology? I mean, is it an unfamiliar field for you?
Completely, yes. I have nothing to do with this.
But wait, there's even more about that, because Brian tells me, and I tell the public affairs officer and the pilot, who said, well, okay, we'll do it again. And Brian said, "Oh, I found it. It's there. We're all set." But I can't thank the Air Force enough, because they were all set to do it again with us, and then they were set to do it again with you. So that's really shows a lot.
Great bunch. Great bunch.
I think
almost as hospital as the hospital. Well, they're almost as nice as the Airbus people.
Very true. Airbus took care of Brian and I very well at Farnborough.
Yep.
Hey Max, what's the engine in the F-22?
It's another PW 100 series. What is it? The F-119? F-119.
Well, I can tell you that was the loudest. As far as yeah, two of them together, and that was to me was the loudest of all the engines.
Yeah,
or I guess maybe it was so close in. It was a very impressive demonstration.
It's got dual nozzles.
Vector thrust novel. Oh, no
Yeah.
wonder it was doing.
That's
that
how it
crazy
can do
stuff.
some of those things. And
Man.
you look up in the air and you watch this thing move around, and you say, "How can an airplane do that?"
You know, I took aerodynamics in college, and none of that was in any of my courses or books.
Yeah. I remember years ago when Pratt & Whitney was trying to develop some of these vectored thrust nozzles, and as you might expect, there's a lot of titanium content in those nozzles, and the difficulty was, how do you machine titanium sheet metal? You know, we had to learn how to do that. Very, very difficult. So it's a technology that's pretty protected and pretty valuable. A lot of other countries would like to, you know, achieve that kind of level of technology, but they just don't have it.
Yeah. Wow.
Trust me, guys, later on when the nuggets hit the lower part of the body down the restroom, there'll be a noise that will surpass anything that you've heard today.
And I would like to clarify that Al is speaking only for himself.
Yeah, ladies don't fart, they just rumble, isn't that right?
Yes, very true.
Well, oh, sorry.
Stop right now. You know what's good for you. And
Is there an attorney in the house?
We've had a question actually in the chat room. Mariana has asked exactly what was Brian's experience with United. What was the issue?
Oh, please, Mariana, you don't. Listen to Airplane Geeks once a week. Brian's story in United.
Were you bit by a scorpion?
No, this one was rodent or pest free. It's really, you want me to go through that story now? Yeah. Okay. So
You can do the song.
You could just talk
about
about
sweaty balls.
Yes.
No.
Just talk about the laptop incident. That'll do.
Well, you can't
that's
blame
even
United
be-
for
no,
stupidity, can you?
All right, the Reader's Digest version of the story. Plane in Los Angeles gets in late, therefore we leave late. We also leave late because there's a malfunctioning lav on the plane, and they decide to fix it instead of handing out plastic cups that apparently United's very good at now for people to relieve themselves in. So they wanted to fix it, and that's okay. Mid-air, I tell the flight crew, it's like, hey, I have really tight connection in Chicago, and it's the last flight of the day, so I'd really appreciate if they could have the plane held for me. Land at the B gates in Chicago. I'm departing from the C gates, run through the airport, get over there, and the distance from about here to the door, I watch them close the door. And I'm like, God, I really need to get on, and no such luck. So I get to overnight in Chicago. As a side to that,
You spent the night with Rob?
no. I don't-
Again?
That's a different podcast. So if my boss is listening, I do work on the airplane all the time, except really I don't. On this flight, however, I took my laptop out and I was doing work and I had to go use the working lav. So I put the laptop down between my seat and the wall. And because when I got back, I'm not used to doing work on the plane. I went on doing whatever, and I left the laptop on the plane. So, yeah. So, and this is my work laptop, and my life is in that computer. So, the next morning I went back to the airport, and there were a bunch of really nice people, and they actually ended up finding it and getting it back to me. Yeah, so the people in the...
That's unusual.
Yeah, the people in the club room, there were 3 of them that really went out of their way to help. So as much negative stuff as I say about United, there are
Have you
actually
checked
some...
your internet search history since it's been out of your possession?
I know not to give you a camera, that's for sure. Yeah, so a good part and a not so good part.
Very good. So, David, I know you're the historian for the Airplane Geeks. Anything other than the apparently the Mad Dogs that I didn't see in the pre-World War II area that you're
Actually,
interested
in all fairness, it was a bit of a homecoming for me. If you've listened to Airplane Geeks, you know my father was base civil engineer for the 913th. Well, the sister squadron to the 913th was the 911th. So I sort of grew up coming out here when Dad had business trips. We would, and I got to see 4 C-130s doing 4 C-130 things, and spent the day with Jennifer, and she got to see my eyes water and tear up while I saw 4 Herculeses cranking and breaking over the field, and it was a good day. For those people in this room who've accused me of seeing everything on the airfield, I had my first experience in a P-8, which was really nice. We got a nice interview with the P-8 Poseidon, which our UK listeners and our Australian listeners are going to be excited about. And overall, it's a really good air show. You can't beat Sean Tucker. He's the pilot's pilot, and he does things with an airplane that's just perfectly unnatural. So you watch the F-22 and you go, that's not right. And then you watch Sean Tucker do something even worse. And you just sort of get, and well, I've always said you don't eat and watch Sean Tucker immediately. You know, you eat, wait a couple hours, then watch Sean Tucker. Because if you don't, every time he pulls out inverted, you're going to get a bit sick. But really good static displays. Really good. My Geico Sky Typers put on a really good show today. And overall, it was, besides the beer runs and the pizza runs and all of the dinners and indigestion, I don't know how Al does it. It's been a really
Training
good weekend.
courses are available. My rates are very understandable.
So really good show. Looking forward to sending out photographs, and it was a nice homecoming. Haven't been to Pittsburgh International, the Air Force Reserve facility here since, God forbid, 30 some odd years. So it was a good homecoming.
And apparently everybody in the air show circuit knows David Vanderhoof, because every time we've been out in public eating somewhere, at least, 3 or 4 groups of people say hi to, hey, is that David?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's right.
Popular guy. Thank you, David. Well, Captain Nick, thank you very much. And let's move on.
All right, so
I don't think this mic's working. So this is my first American air show, and I was really kind of looking forward to repeating the Farmer experience, and it was going to be even better because the wonderful Stephen Ivey had promised to fly me here in his Mooney. So I was going to get myself to Atlanta, and we were going to get into his beautiful, and now having seen it, I'm just even more devastated because it's a wonderful looking flying machine. And it was owned by quite a famous guy. I'm sure Stephen could shout out his name. Pat Epps. Okay, so he's well known, and it's his old machine that Stephen now owns, and it's a wonderful looking aircraft. But of course, he decided to leave the day before I arrived. So I kind of missed that opportunity, and then I thought, well, at least he could fly me back. But he's going to leave the day before I do. So I'm not quite sure whether it's flying with me or what, but I don't know. I'm really looking forward to a chance to have a go in that machine, Stephen, one day perhaps. And talking of that, Fred Sampson has always promised to take me up in his light aircraft. I don't do a lot of light aircraft flying, so this would be quite an experience. So I really enjoyed walking around with Fred today because he's quite an experienced aerobatic pilot in his own right. He went to the same flight school that Sean Tucker learned his trade at. And it was a delight to stand beside him and listen to him describe some of the maneuvers that Sean Tucker was doing in that incredible biplane that he flies. And Fred's a marvelous guy. He's a great raconteur, and he knows a lot of stuff. And that was an absolute joy for me. But meeting Captain Streaker, who got his name by methods we have yet to find out, but he promised me if I bought him enough beers, he'd tell me, which probably accounts for the fact why he got the name Streaker. He was drinking too much beer. He showed us around his buff. You know, the buff stands for, come on, someone going to help me out here?
Big, ugly, friendly
big,
fellow.
ugly,
friendly fellow.
Friendly aeroplane. Okay, so it's fascinating. Built in the 60s, for heaven's sake, and they're still flying it. It's a very capable machine.
And that would be the B-52.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much. So that was great. And hopefully tomorrow we'll get a chance to look up in the flight deck. I compared my hand size with Captain Streaker's, and his hands are smaller than mine. And I stretch across 4 throttles, and I'm trying to work out how his tiny hand gets across 8 throttles. I mean, that was just incredible. But the thing that impressed me most of all was the patience of the American crowd. I mean, we sat and watched the Thunderbirds, and you guys cheered. Yeah, and I was going, you know, we've been here 30 minutes, nothing's happened yet. Come on. And we're watching the engineers walk around and do their little synchro dance, which was great. But I'm going, come on, guys, when are you going to start your engines and get off? But when they got going, it was great. We had to have a bit of a pause. You know, they'd do a fly past, look fantastic, and we'd all sit and wait. And someone coming back, or is that it? No, seriously, the Thunderbirds were great. It was lovely to see them. My first chance to see a prime aerobatic team that the USAF have produced. Great guys and girls, I'm sure, and that was a joy. So, all in all, wonderful experience.
And those Thunderbird pilots have great personalities. Captain Al, do you have a story about maybe one of those?
Yeah, I do have a little story. I felt that there was potential to be deported yesterday due to a diplomatic incident.
Oh, there's still potential.
Yeah. The Thunderbirds, who travel light when it comes to support staff, of how many aircraft are there in the Thunderbirds?
Well, not very many, mate. There's a box 4 and a couple of loose ones that float around.
And presumably they carry a couple of spares just in case it goes tech. So there's not too many of them, but they took out 90 rooms in the hotel. So you know,
128 support staff. I believe,
yeah. So there's a lot of people there going around shining boots and tires and stuff. So yeah, I was just chatting to one of them, and I happen, you know, no idea whether it's the top man, the head honcho, or just the new hire. But I was just sort of saying, "Are you with the Thunderbirds?" And he was kind of looking and going, "Yeah, I'm with the Thunderbirds. I've got the bag." And I thought, okay, great. So I said, I take it you guys, you know, are aiming to be as good as the Red Arrows someday. And his face just went to that sort of kind of expression that you see in someone who's going to hit you. And I could see the cogs going round. Corporate policy, we do not hit the public. Corporate policy, we do not hit the public. And I kind of thought, okay, well, I'll just step away and leave him to it. But yeah, it was interesting. They don't seem to have any sense of humour whatsoever.
All right. Well, that's great. Steph.
Yeah, so it's been a really lovely day, and as most of the others have said, it's great to see and meet so many of you and put faces to names, and that's just really, really awesome. And certainly there's quite a few of you here that I've interacted with in the past I've not met in person before this weekend, so that's awesome. In terms of, you know, what we've seen at the air show today, I really enjoyed watching the C-130s and the paratroopers. That was a lot of fun. I can't imagine, you know, getting out of an airplane at 1,250 feet with a round parachute, and then, you know,
not the grey one.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have thought that they might have gone for a little bit something more colourful, you know, well, party, you know.
My canopy's like yellow and blue. It's very fun.
I still can't imagine jumping out of a perfectly good aircraft. So
right, you know, but their round canopies are not as maneuverable certainly as the Ram Air canopies that I'm used to jumping, and they don't.
So maybe
have a lot
I should
of
go and chat
flare.
to them tomorrow and ask them, you know, are you hoping to have proper canopies at some point?
Yes. I think if you ask them that question, that would go over quite well. Also,
I'm getting the hang of this.
We're gonna start a hashtag Get Al Deported, and everyone can submit their ideas now. You know, and not being able to flare and land gently into the ground and having to do a parachute landing fall every time. So it was fun they were kind of far away from, you know, landing out in the middle of the field, so I was trying to watch their technique, but it was cool to watch. Really enjoyed
They were aiming for somewhere closer.
Well, they don't really have a whole lot of control over where they're going. So yeah, that was really cool. I really enjoyed the F-22 and the F-18 as well on the flying displays. So, and then, obviously the nugget eating contest. But I think best 2 out of 3. So that was round 2 where scores tied.
Are you
1-1.
still claiming that that the Nuggets weren't up to your exacting standards?
No, I was just having a moment there with the Nuggets.
Steph, which was better, the 18 or the F-22?
I really like the F-18 better.
Oh, you're my girl.
Quick question from the chat room, Brian. Would you be prepared to jump out of a United Airlines flight with a parachute?
Yes. with or without a parachute?
With a parachute.
With a parachute. I think it'd be fun doing it actually out of a 727 with a whole lot of cash. Yeah.
What film was that?
I guess it's my turn.
It's your turn, John.
Thank you. So when we were getting close to having this event, oh wait a minute, I must interrupt myself.
Oh,
and there's Captain Rick Bell. He's the man.
Here, here.
Come on in. Okay. Never mind. We did not see him. We'll cut this out. We'll edit this out. No, I'm just kidding. So he's going to come back. He's going to get into something more comfortable. Anyway. So when we were looking at a lot of us were looking at the weather as we got closer and closer and closer to this event, and it really looked like it was going to be really cruddy weather. In fact, about 10 days out, it looked like both of these days were going to be rainy, and we were thinking, gosh, are they even going to be able to do any of the demonstrations? And so we were concerned about that, and somebody was asking me, is this going to be just a complete blowout? And I said, no. You know what? Honestly, even if they didn't have any of those flying demonstrations, I mean, I do care, but the most important thing to me was this, meeting all of the APG community coming up here and just coming up for this meetup and hanging out with each other and eating at Eggs and At for breakfast and eating at the industry public house on Thursday night and drinking there as well, and just having the impromptu live streaming sessions in the lobby of the courtyard here, where I think the people here at this hotel think we're just completely nuts. And we got a lot of strange looks from people. We're here, are these people sitting in these chairs with microphones and cameras and everything else thinking, hey, it must be celebrities or something.
I think they're wondering
No, we're not.
I think they're wondering if all pilots drink this much.
Yeah. So that is what, I mean, and that's the same thing for Farnborough in July. How did I do? Farnborough?
Very good. Quite
Okay.
good, Jeff.
Last,
Yeah, you're almost an Englishman.
Almost. Okay. Last year, again, the demonstrations and the static displays, all that stuff was huge. But for me, what I took away from the whole thing was meeting all these great listeners of all these aviation podcasts in the UK, and people came from all over Europe, and it was just amazing. So, to me, it was going to be a success regardless of what happened with the weather and whether or not we had, a great air show or not. And, gravy, we're having a great air show. And today was much better weather than they were expecting. And tomorrow should be just amazing. So that, to me, is the highlight of all this. And I look forward to hanging out and talking more with the community and watching some more great airplane demonstrations tomorrow. Nev.
Well, this is my 28th visit to your fine country. And talking of diplomatic incidents.
Yeah, what about that incident trying to get in?
Well, I
from
came in
Canada?
via Toronto with the lovely Liz Piper. So I flew into Toronto and we drove down to Pittsburgh. So that was all great. But of course, in 2012, I visited Algeria. So I've got an Algerian visa stamp in my passport for some work we're doing for an oil company over there. Canadian customs guy, I think he was coming to the end of his shift because he took one look at it and thought, oh, God, just turned the page and stamped it and said, on you go. So he wasn't in the mood for any chat about it at all, which was not the same that can be said for the US border, who were extremely interested in it and would like to talk to me extensively about it. So 40 minutes later, I was allowed back into the car, and down we came. But of course, we've got to go back again. But of course, I'm going out of the country. They probably don't care too much, I would imagine. But no,
But I've tipped the Canadians off this time.
I thought you probably would, yes.
But the Canadians are very warm and welcoming, nothing like we Americans.
That's a fair point, Micah, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
We're outnumbered, Nev. We're outnumbered.
Yeah, I
We're
know.
not fast. Not with those nuggets, anyway.
You know, and then of course Captain Al is throwing stones at the Thunderbirds. So
yeah, there's.
it goes both ways.
Just one other thing I'd like to say. You know how important the coffee fund is to keep the whole thing going. There has been a medical incident here today, as you can see from some plasters on my hands here. So I'd like to thank Nurse Liz Piper and Dr. John Brown very much for helping us with that. But of course, there will be compensation required, and therefore I would encourage you to contribute a great deal of money to the coffee fund, because that's where it will be coming from.
Oh, it quit.
Oh, it did. Well, that's not good.
Oh, a technical moment. Surely not.
Well, here, then let's do this one here. So, because the coffee fund will be completely drained to pay for Nev's medical expenses, this is a great time to talk about the coffee fund. I wasn't planning on doing this, but apparently we're in an urgent situation. So if you want to help out and replenish the coffee fund, head over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee, and you can thank Neville Bounds for that.
And if you call in the next 10 minutes, this box of chicken nuggets can be yours, commemorative.
And this half-eaten cookie, we'll throw that in as well.
And there may be a need for some toilet roll later.
Tissue, I don't even like you.
Okay, Matt Smith, co-host of the Plain Talking UK podcast and video technician extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's having a few technical issues at the moment, so
Are
can
you?
you come back to me? Is that all right?
Okay, sure.
Pass.
Is he just using that as an excuse?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so.
That's not a euphemism, folks.
Yeah, I've lost Wi-Fi connectivity for some reason.
Oh,
so
really?
We're still streaming, but
Okay, good.
I can't get any of the external cameras and stuff to go, so I'm just trying to work.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to Matt then. So, do we have? So that means we probably can't. Carlos. Oh, Carlos. I mean, of all people, the host of the Plain Talking UK podcast and podcaster extraordinaire, sir.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
My second time in the US.
They let you back?
Yeah, they let me back. I was in Vegas last year, which was an experience in itself. But no, it's been fantastic to come here. Everyone here has been so very, very, helpful and happy and supportive and everything. Very generous. Understanding, yeah. And no, it's been really good to meet a lot of the listeners and stuff at the show. People do actually listen to us, Matt. They actually, I know. It shocks me as well.
It's a great aid to sleep.
Your effort works, yeah. But no, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who listens to our show. That we really do appreciate all our US listeners. And I just want to let you know, I was looking at the server downloads just about 3 hours ago, and you guys in the US are literally 2,500 downloads behind the UK in being the #1 downloader of our show. So, yeah, thanks to everyone in the US who downloads and listens to our show each week. We really do appreciate it. So, thank you.
Did you get the Airplane Geeks bump from last week?
Yes, I did. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. By the way, a great episode. Every episode of Airplane Geeks is great, but this one in particular is very special because Carlos Stebbings was the guest.
I know. And it was very nice to be on the show. So big thanks to the guys at the Geeks for allowing me to.
And it's not
to be on
often
the show.
our guests actually stalk us from a foreign country a week later.
But it's nice to finally meet you in person. Obviously, I've already seen Brian in Farnborough last year, but no, Max and David, it's great to meet you guys. Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you.
And Jeff, we've talked about the 3 podcasts that are here. We have.
You've got someone special to mention, actually,
well,
Micah.
yeah, we've got Plane Talking UK is here, Carlos and Matt, and we have the Airline Pilot Guy is here, and we have the Airplane Geeks here. But we also have the UAV Digest here, and from the UAV Digest, 2 people are on our panel, and of course, there's Drone Mama herself.
Yeah. A few words, Drone Mama, come on.
Oh, geez, I really don't like the limelight at all, but I somehow got roped into volunteering to publish UAV Digest, and it's an interesting thing, and I'm glad to be able to help Max out with his weekly endeavors.
And today you posted a lot on Instagram.
Yes, I did.
So
on the Airplane
Geeks
Geeks
Instagram, if you're looking for some photos from the show, there's a lot of great stuff up there to look at.
And David has told me that I've improperly identified some things.
but give Drone Mama a big round of applause. Come on, love.
We really can't do the show UAV Digest without Drone Mama. Max and I are really good at doing stuff, but our text and spelling and grammar aren't the greatest. So our show notes are spectacular only because Max and I aren't doing them.
Right, yes. Well, thank you.
We have somebody speaking of the chat room, Philip Davis from the UK said, if Jess sees this message, can you say a massive thank you to all the podcasters who spend an awful lot of their time educating and entertaining us all. And he puts in all caps, thank you all very much. So thank you, Philip, for sending that message to us. And let's see, is Captain Rick back? No, he's still gone?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll put off playing that message from Matt Buntingframe. And yeah, this might be a good time for this week's installment of Plane Tales by the Old Dot Pilot.
The Old Pilot's Plane Tales, Flight 427 to Pittsburgh. On a beautifully clear and warm evening in western Pennsylvania, on the 8th of September 1994, US Air Flight 427 began its approach to Pittsburgh International Airport. The Boeing 737, carrying 127 passengers and crew of 5, was making a routine trip from Chicago and was due to land in Pittsburgh around 7:15 p.m. It never got there. At about 7 p.m., Captain Peter Germano and First Officer Charles Emmett prepared for their approach and chatted about the bright sun they'd have to deal with and grumbled about the heavy air traffic around Pittsburgh that inevitably caused delays. Their banter gave way quickly to exclamations of surprise and then horror as their aircraft suddenly and inexplicably yawed to the left, rolled over, and began to spiral downwards. The aircraft had momentarily entered the wake turbulence of the delta it was sequenced behind, when there were 3 sudden thumps, clicking sounds, and a louder thump, and then the 737 began to bank and roll to the left. As the aircraft stalled, Germano exclaimed, "Hold on," numerous times, while Emmett, under physical exertion, said, "Oh, shit." Germano exclaimed, "What the hell is this?" As air traffic control noticed Flight 427 descending without permission, Germano keyed the mic and stated, 427, emergency. The aircraft then continued to roll, whilst pitching nose down at the ground, at which point Emmett shouted, "What the hell?" Against sharply rising G-forces, he yelled again, "Pull! Pull!" 3 consecutive times before screaming, during which Emmett stated, "God, no," seconds before impact. In the 23 terrifying seconds, the 737 had plummeted 6,000 feet and struck the ground at nearly 300 knots into a ravine near the Green Garden Plaza in Hopewell, a few miles from the airport. The plane disintegrated on impact. In a flash, 132 lives were snuffed out. This sad loss was not an isolated event, but one in a series of mishaps involving one of the world's most successful aircraft. A few years previously, United Airlines 737-200 crashed on approach to Colorado Springs. The aircraft unexpectedly rolled right and pitched nose down, and although the crew tried to initiate a go-around by selecting 15 flaps and increasing the thrust, the aircraft continued to spiral, sufficient to establish a cause, and for only the fourth time in the history of the NTSB, the final report was issued with an undetermined probable cause. The list of similar crashes grew when in 1992 300 rolled and dived into the ground, killing 104, and in 1999 a Metrojet 737-200 experienced a serious rudder deflection in the cruise. However, perhaps the most telling incident involved Captain Brian Bishop, who fought off two hard, inadvertent rudder swings. Narrow rudder adjusting device had been misrigged, and theorized that it had surprised Bishop by deflecting the rudder slightly further to the right than it should have. To test this theory, Boeing test pilot Michael Hewitt accompanied Bishop on a flight on the same east-wind jet. Boeing rigged the cockpit so a technician could make the yaw damper order a series of right deflections. Bishop, however, easily kept control of the plane. Hewitt suggested that Bishop probably overreacted to a similar rogue yaw damper signal the night of the incident, but Bishop insisted a much stronger force had nearly twisted his jet into its dangerous dive, and he noted that his rudder pedal had also locked up. "This wasn't anything like that night," Bishop recalled. "I was trying to tell Hewitt the rudder didn't feel this way. It didn't have any effect at all that night." But Hewitt says it was dark and you weren't expecting anything. Well, true, but either way, this was about a tenth of what I felt. There were more incidents of lesser significance, but all told, the NTSB listed 112 such rudder events over a 20-year period. However, to put this into context, the 737 family of airliners are the best-selling commercial jet airliner in history, as production approaches the 10,000 mark, with over 4,000 currently on order. As of 2015, the hull loss rate per million departures of the original series stood at 1.75, which compares favourably with the early 747s at 2.85, but not as safe as the MD-80 at 0.66 or the L-1011 at 0.75. Back in the 1960s, when the 737 was being designed in competition with many other rival aircraft, to speed up the process, Boeing used a great deal of common components from the 727, some 60% in fact. However, one area that differed was the design of the rudder. Unlike most other twin aircraft with a strong potential asymmetric force, it had a single rudder and a single power control unit to move it. Through clever design that placed the aircraft in a flight regime from which recovery was not possible using the known recovery procedures, a contributing cause of this accident was the manufacturer's failure to advise operators that there was a speed below which the aircraft's lateral control authority was insufficient to counter a full rudder deflection. A statement from the Airline Pilots Association stated, "ALPA believes that the airplane experienced an uncommanded full rudder deflection. This deflection was a result of the main rudder power control unit secondary valve jamming, which resulted in a primary valve overstroke. This secondary valve jam and primary valve overstroke caused US Air 427 to roll uncontrollably and dive into the ground. Once the full rudder hardover occurred, the flight crew were unable to counter the resulting roll with aileron because the 737 does not have sufficient lateral control authority to balance a full rudder input in certain areas of the flight envelope." Charles Higgins, a Boeing vice president who heads up airplane safety and performance for Boeing, said the rudder control units from the 737 in the Pittsburgh and Colorado Springs crashes were both thoroughly examined as part of the NTSB's accident investigation. No jam was detected in either unit. Boeing suggested pilot error in the Pittsburgh crash, suggesting the pilots may have mishandled the plane in reaction to the turbulence, with the first officer inadvertently holding the left rudder pedal to the cockpit floor as he and the captain pulled back on the control stick to break their plunge. And they blamed a rogue wind in the United Airlines crash and a misrigged yaw damper for the east wind incident. Dennis Kreider, chairman of the NTSB's Aircraft Performance Group, told the board members a rudder reversal scenario will match all three events. However, the Boeing company hotly contested such a finding, saying that there was no physical evidence to support the rudder reversal scenarios in the three incidents. Finally, the FAA argued that no one would ever know the cause with any certainty, so it had focused on making the plane safer. As an interim measure to maintain controllability in case of an uncommanded rudder deflection, the airlines began to instruct their pilots to fly faster for longer during the approach. Above 190 knots with flaps at between 1 and 10, should the rudder move to full deflection, there would be enough aileron force available to overcome the rolling effect of the rudder. However, that speed increased with G-loading. This higher speed was officially adopted into the Boeing flight manuals in March 1999, but it only protected the aircraft on the initial stages of the approach. In that same year, a Flight Control Engineering and Test Evaluation Board was formed to look afresh at the 737 rudder in what had been called the most in-depth scientific study ever of any commercial airplane system. The team were given the task of determining what could happen and not to evaluate the probability of what would happen. It was manned by representatives from the FAA, NASA, ALPA, and Boeing, as well as members from safety establishments around the world. A year later, in a preliminary draft report, the ETEB found that the jammed restricted rudder procedures formulated by Boeing and often modified by airlines were confusing and time-consuming. They said the pilot showed a lack of training and situational awareness. The evaluation board said that it had detected 30 failures and jams that could be catastrophic on takeoff and landing, but partly because airplanes travel faster at high altitudes and other control systems can overcome the rudder force, it considered no failures at cruising altitudes to be catastrophic. Nevertheless, 16 of those failures and jams at higher altitudes would be hazardous, meaning that they would require prompt pilot action to prevent a crash. The report said that another 22 latent failures, such as cracked parts combined with single failures and jams, could cause catastrophic or hazardous failures. But all three of the failures found by the panel were also present in the new generation 737, 6, 7, and 800s. The large numbers of single failures and jams and latent failure combinations are of concern. They also found that current maintenance procedures were insufficient to find hidden problems in the rudder system. The evaluation board's most unexpected finding was that an ice buildup can cause a 737 rudder to malfunction. Servo valve linkages that weren't pressurized or heated were prone to freezing, and other levers could also be prevented from moving correctly. The evaluation board recommended in the draft that Boeing modify the 737 rudder control system so that no single failure, single jam, or any latent failure in combination with any single jam or failure will cause Class 1, that is catastrophic, effects. On the 13th of September 2000, the FAA reached an agreement with Boeing to redesign the rudder. Once the directive was issued, the company would have about 5 years to make the changes in planes currently flying. The new design would also be required in all newly made 737s. The NTSB's chairman, Jim Hall, said that he was pleased Boeing and the FAA had finally agreed that there was a need to redesign the 737 rudder control system. The current design, Hall said, represents an unacceptable risk to the travelling public. He went on, I hope this redesign and retrofit can be accomplished expeditiously, so that the major recommendations of our accident report last year will be realized. A reliable, redundant rudder system for the Boeing 737. Boeing's Alan Bailey, the engineer in charge of the 737's safety certification, said, "We are not fixing a safety problem with this enhancement we are making." Boeing say the new rudder will take 3 years to develop and be fitted to the first aircraft, and the FAA said the last will not be fitted until 2008, because the retro work is expected to take as much as 200 hours per plane. Boeing would pay the full cost of the retrofit, estimated at $240 million. However, in December 2006, Reuters reported that Boeing and airlines were resisting the US government proposal to require closer monitoring of rudder performance on 737 aircraft years after the two crashes prompted changes to design and other measures. The Air Transport Association said that more than 800 aircraft would not meet the basic requirement of the FAA's monitoring proposal if it were finalized today, and most of those planes had already been fitted with redesigned rudder systems, the report said. The FAA and the National Transport Safety Board agreed more oversight was needed to ensure Boeing's rudder design worked as planned and any other problems were spotted. Without more data, the NTSB could definitely identify the causes of suspected uncommanded rudder events, the FAA said. The problem seems to be never-ending. In 2007, Flight International reported that Boeing's long-running problems with the 737 rudder, thought to have been finally settled 6 years previously with the redesign of the power control units, had resurfaced with the discovery of fractures in the input control rods to the units, and a subsequent call for wide-ranging corrective action by the US FAA. Boeing said 880 aircraft had been fitted with the enhanced rudder system, of which 681 were discovered to have been delivered with suspect rods.
Wow, that must have, awesome. So what is your conclusion to all of this? I mean, what is your feeling regarding, did Boeing know, do you think?
I tried to stay, and I know you won't quite understand this, but it's really hard when you have a fondness for one manufacturer over another to stay completely impartial. But when I did this, I purposely tried not to include any personal opinion. I just extracted text and testimony from renowned bodies like the Airline Pilots Association, like the NTSB, and the FAA. So every piece of information in that, none of it is personal, none of it is my opinion. It is all extracted from public documents that are available. And I try to mention the 737 is a very safe aircraft. It has an excellent safety record, particularly the later versions. The earlier versions, not so, but the later versions, very good. So we're talking about quite a very rare fault, but it may still be there, and not every agency involved is convinced that
Boeing have actually met their responsibility in fixing this.
Hey, Captain Nick, you're really not making me feel better since I have to fly back to LA, and 2 segments are on 737s, and on Monday I have to fly to Orlando, and both segments are on 737s. So thank you.
And Captain Nick flew up on a 737
Yeah, that's
from
right.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I put my money where my mouth was, and I came here on a 737 from Atlanta, and I didn't scream or cry or blub once. So you have to have confidence in an aircraft that has been accepted by so many airlines, has so many thousand of them have been built, and has done very well. But I personally, and this is where the only opinion I'll personally put in, when you look back at the original concept, when the 737 was built, a single rudder panel powered by a single power control unit was something that they only did on that aircraft, and other manufacturers have always ensured that there are dual systems involved in this. So that, to me, perhaps was an area where Boeing might have been a bit more conscientious. Having said that, they've done their best to adhere, and at a great cost, they've redesigned the system. It's only the monitoring system that allows the NTSB to keep a close eye on rudder incidents on the 737 and analyze them fully, that perhaps Boeing have not perhaps complied with entirely. But that's just a personal opinion.
And just a quick trivia question, as long as we're talking about the 737s. Does anybody here know of a song with the word airplane 737 in it? You should. 737 coming out of the sky. Let me take you down to Memphis on a midnight ride. I want to move. John Fogerty, Creedence Clearwater Revival, traveling band.
Very impressive.
I'll add that while it was playing, I reached over and, as the historian of the group, that was an awesome segment, and love primary sources. It's not something we get to talk about a lot, and you did a really good job. And I know your bias, and I understood your pain. So it was really well done.
Thank you very much indeed.
I mean, they're all well done, but we really appreciate that. Like our faces. So, we were playing some feedback from Matthew Buntingframe in Australia earlier, and it was interrupted by Miami Heck. So, we're going to go ahead and replay this, and it's going to be even more special because one of the people that he heaps lauds of praise for is now with us. And we're not hearing it for some reason. So, oh yeah, it's it couldn't be anything that I did wrong.
G'day guys, Matt coming to you from Melbourne, Victoria. Wishing you all the very best at Wings over Pittsburgh. What an awesome occasion for everyone to get together. Thank you, Captain Rick Bell, for your efforts in making this happen. I know it's been a long time coming, and a lot of you guys have been waiting for a while to get there. It's finally here, and I know you guys are all together and probably sharing a few amber ales between you, and if you haven't, you should have one in your hands. Wish we could be there, but obviously the tyranny of distance prohibits. Looking forward to catching up with some of you later this year, but until that time, all the very best. Have a good one. Matt, out.
Thank you, Matt, and we all agree. Captain Rick Bell is the man. Stand up.
Yeah, you are. He's in the chat. But we're going to speak to you live now, Rick, for everyone who's listening.
Hi. And yeah, don't really mention your real name and your affiliation with any military agency because we are on a podcast.
I got in trouble. And apparently I'm now the new Miami Rick. According to my squadron mates.
Does Acme now have a military branch then?
Yes, it's Acme, the Acme Air Force.
Acme Air Force.
Acme
There
Air
you
Force
go.
and Captain Ray
Finkelstein.
That's it. Would you like to say something about this wonderful air show that you did here in Scranton, PA?
That's not good because there's an air show at Scranton, PA
Oh,
in August.
Whoops.
Altoona?
It was really hard.
There you go, Altoona.
No, it's holy smokes. This has been, wow, a year and a half, 2 years in the making, and I don't even know what to say. I can't believe we pulled this off.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, I know. No, this has been absolutely amazing. I never thought that all the hard work that my team and my squadron mates and my friends and colleagues, I never thought that this was what this was going to be. And holy smokes, I came in first thing this morning, and last night after the last airplane got in, and me and my buddies, and we're kind of standing around and we're looking around and we're like, I can't believe we just did this. Like, what are we doing right now? And then this morning, and seeing the airplanes and seeing the sun come up, and everyone, it's all working, and wow, like this is just absolutely incredible. I've been on the Air Boss stand actually for the most of the day, and normally I have a radio just connected to my hip, and I think maybe in the morning for a few fires, but after that, I can't believe how smooth this all went. This was absolutely incredible. I'm still in shock, so I don't know really where to go with this. So, I mean, this has been just one of those days where, I mean, it was just, next thing I know, the Thunderbirds were performing, and I'm watching this whole thing going on, and I'm like, did we just pull this off? Like, did this all just happen? Like, I don't really know what to say right now. So, and tomorrow's another day, and then we have the mass exodus tomorrow night. So, we'll see how this goes, but so far so good, knock on wood. This has been, I'm watching myself in the chat room right now. So.
It's fun, isn't it?
like, stop looking at me like that. I need my wife back here. She is my drink. So right now, I'm just like, no, really, this has just been absolutely incredible. Thank you all. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, this has just been incredible to see all of you here right now. There's not a more fitting group of people that need to be at this air show than this group of people right now. We wanted this to be an aviation-centric air show, and we did not want any fences to this thing. We just wanted people to be able to know what we are about. And we did it. I think. I think we did.
Yeah.
So so far so good, right?
Everybody, please, 3 cheers for Captain Rick. Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray! So people said, like, to me, Jeff, thanks for like bringing all these people together, and I said, it wasn't me. It was Captain Rick Bell. He's the one that, more than a year and a half ago called me up and said, hey, would you guys be interested in, coming to this air show thing in Pittsburgh? And I went, yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess.
Don't blame me for
just
this.
like Farnborough, you didn't have squat to do with that either.
No, I didn't. Really, I didn't.
No, really, don't blame me for this.
That was, who was that was responsible for that?
That was Stuart Aslett.
Stuart Aslett, yeah. Blame him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Rick, can I just ask how much sleep you've had in the last few days?
I can actually count on both of my hands how much sleep I've had in the last 2 days.
Well, you did a brilliant job. Well done.
Yes.
And of course, your lovely wife.
Oh,
here with the
yay! My
drinks.
wife is here!
Yay!
Yay!
Brilliant.
And I have to say, and please give it up for my lovely wife, because she has dealt with this for the past year and a half.
There's no harder job in the Air Force than being an Air Force wife.
They're more enlisted than we are, aren't we? So thank you guys all very much for coming out to this thing. This has been just absolutely an incredible event, and I can't thank you all enough for being here. This has been just absolutely awesome. So thank you guys very much.
No, thank you.
Cheers.
Guys,
It's all you.
just so you know what kind of guy Rick Bell is, he walked up to me the other night and I said, I need that patch. He turned his shoulder to me and said, rip it off, it's yours. The man will give you his patches off his back. He's awesome.
Yeah, I have absolutely no patches left on my uniform. So. Thanks, guys.
Just as an addition to that, Rick, I've been chatting to a few people who are local to Pittsburgh, because I understand, I mean, forgive myself and the rest of us who've come from the UK, but we're not particularly savvy to the goings-on at the Pittsburgh Air Show, and I believe that there's been quite a gap since the last one. And the people that I've spoken to in the hotel and so forth who are local to Pittsburgh are absolutely delighted to see its return. So well done.
Awesome, yeah.
And not to mention the fact that so many people were just amazed that there was no charge to come into the air show, no charge for parking. I mean, talking about being open to the local community and saying, this is what aviation is, specifically military aviation. But you know, this is where dreams are born and future aviators are born.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, and standing out with, you know, especially the GA airplanes today for, you know, Stephen and Hillel who flew their planes in. There were so many families and young kids who came by just in awe of all of these aircraft. So that was really, really fun to see. So.
Well, what I'd like to do is ask the audience, how many people were inspired or became a fan of aviation as a result of an air show? I mean, it's clearly more than half. Yeah. So it's so important.
And having been the military aviation expert, you know, we were joking around that, you know, I've kind of jaded. You know, I've seen B-52s and C-5s and C-17s, but it's not often you get to a military show and you see an E-175 or an Airbus A300 or what the other general aviation stuff. It was really, not to mention, we also have to give credit to Pittsburgh International Airport because they never stopped landing aircraft and taking off aircraft. And
that we know of.
That we know of.
Except for the Thunderbirds demonstration.
Let's not go there,
It was really kind of amazing to think that here was a civilian airport with people flying in and out, and there's an air show going on with an air show box right next to it, and there really wasn't any interruption. You really couldn't tell for both facilities. So well done.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. This was
David, is that a relatively unique situation in the US? Because I can't see it happening in the UK. I mean, there would just be, you know, no one would accept that risk assessment.
I have been to Scranton International Airport where they've done this, where they don't have as many runways, so the air show is kind of interrupted for a CJ to come land. The irony of that is that pilot is going to make the best CJ landing he's ever had. He's got an audience. But that being said, there are civilian air shows, there are military air shows. It's not often you get something as wonderful as this is. I know it's a military facility, but growing up, everybody, my dad's, all of the 9/11th, the 9/12th, the 9/14th, which was Youngstown, Niagara Falls, and Pittsburgh, were always jealous of my dad's facility because he was a military base. The other three operated from a civilian airport, which has its challenges. That being said, what I saw today is the base here, the 9/11th, is operating seamlessly with Pittsburgh International Airport. And I'm going to be sad that they're losing their current mission because I'll tell the happiest thing I saw today was 4 C-130s cranking their props all simultaneously. You know, start 1, start 2, start 3, start 4, and taxiing out. Reminded me of my childhood. In fact, I even started to well up a little bit. But the fact that there were Mad Dogs and 737s and EJs and E-175s all flying and landing at the airport at the same time was just downright awesome from an air show perspective. It's just not something you're used to seeing, and it's not something that is ever done that well. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
A question, actually, for you, Jeff, and maybe Rick, too, from a commercial perspective. What were the NOTAMs like today?
I didn't. I've been on vacation, so I haven't looked at any of that.
What might they have been like?
There are pages. There's a lot. Yeah, we have a 5.5 mile TFR around the airport right now. We have massive airspace coordination. Sitting up in the Airbus stand was the air traffic control from Pitt Tracon, the air boss, the we call Iron City, which is the ground controller. There was myself, there was the FAA, there was County Crash Fire Rescue, there was the county personnel associated with holding the actual airfield itself. So the airfield is actually owned by Allegheny County, which is with, obviously Pittsburgh falls within the confines of. So we had a lot of personnel, and there was a lot of coordination involved. Like I said,
and don't forget all of the roads that have to be blocked off.
All the roads that need to be blocked off. So Moon Police out here, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. Obviously, the Pittsburgh State or Pittsburgh Police, Pennsylvania Police, the highway?
State troopers?
Yeah, the state troopers. All the local volunteer, fire departments and everything else. This has been, like I said, holy smokes, there's been a lot of coordination going on with this. It's been just mad.
Yeah, Captain Rick, what about the ROTC and Air National Guard? Seemed like there was a lot of help
Oh my
from
goodness.
those guys as well.
Yeah, for sure. The Civil Air Patrol, which is an awesome organization that I absolutely encourage anybody to get into, is to get into the CAP program. The Air Force Auxiliary is really what it is, and it's the cadet program to get people interested in the Air Force and into aviation. I absolutely 100% support it, and they have been huge in this whole thing, with their personnel and manning the parking lots. I mean, we have parking lots all over Moon. Busing. I mean, we've had buses coming in from everywhere. Our security forces has been, absolutely paramount in securing the flight line and making sure everyone's been safe. I know everyone's been giving everyone a hard time about the restrictions, and but really honestly, that's the whole reason why we can have the safe and open air show that we have, is because we have those restrictions in place, and it's just been absolutely incredible. And then the other one's the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts of America, have been here, and they've been just absolutely awesome in helping out with personnel. And there's a whole camp. There's a whole Boy Scout, Girl Scout, and Civil Air Patrol camp sitting on our ramp right now. They're actually in tents, and they're camping out with campfires and everything else. And I was just I'm walking over here, and yeah, I know. And I'm just like, I'm walking with Aaron, and I'm basically saying, I'm just like, this is the reason why we have this air show, is because of this, because kids are camping out because they love aviation.
I was going to say the other thing that was just amazing, having driven in and out, and you had a whole enlisted crew out there standing there all day long directing traffic. I had my windows rolled down, thanked every one of those guys. They were all incredibly polite, incredibly helpful. Going through security, they're guys standing there with M4s and everything, but I wish TSA were as polite and as helpful and as wonderful when I get screened in the airport, because they were, again, incredibly polite. I had a battery in my pocket, and I was happy to see it. But anyway, but it was still, in terms of, I was treated with so much dignity and respect, and everyone was. And to be out there in the sun doing all that in uniforms like that, it was just amazing, and they deserve an incredible amount of thanks.
Absolutely. I mean, they deserve the biggest round of applause ever. I mean, these guys have put in 16, 17, 18-hour days, and they definitely deserve a cheer. So, no cavity searches, Al?
Surprisingly, they let me in clothes. I was all ready to go for it, yeah.
Weird how that works out. I thought there was bubble wrap involved.
Well, yeah, but I think it's probably fair to say that, Jeff, was it on Facebook Live or did you do Twitter Live that my naked body got broadcast to the world?
Again.
Well, it was censored. They wouldn't let me post it. No,
What-
YouTube,
what-
actually. YouTube, the APG YouTube channel. You'll see Captain Al flashing. Yeah, it's not a pretty thing.
Ew. Gross.
Right.
But yeah, you're going to download it later, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.com/airline pilot.
That
guy.
sweet,
There you
sweet
find it.
gray hair slicked back. Ooh.
Come on, guys. Need
Okay.
to keep this clean.
All right. So
It's a family
thanks
show.
again, Captain Bell, and we look forward to
Thank you, guys.
seeing you some more. And you see him tomorrow at the air show. Make sure you shake it. Well, of course, everybody here will be able to have a chance to say something personally to Captain Bell tonight and help him drink some beer and maybe even sing some karaoke. Yeah, I hear he's a good singer.
And when does the golf cart jousting start? That's what I've been waiting for.
Hey,
I don't know anything about that.
you know, I have a special announcement. You know, you all heard the normal airline pilot guy theme music at the beginning of the show. I think we have possibly some new theme music for the airline pilot guy show. So let's take a listen. See what you think.
I used to be such a good pilot till I started APG. I opened doors for little old ladies, I helped them to their seats. Airline pilot guy, I fly America. Oh, airline pilot guy, he can land in heavy fall. I got no friends cause I'm always flying. I just don't have the time. But I can land this old plane, I can land it just fine. Airline pilot guy, I fly America. Oh, airline pilot guy, he can land in heavy fall. Oh, airline pilot guy, I fly America. Oh, 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 airline pilot guy, he can land in heavy fall.
So what do you think? Thank you, Brent Wright, for that wonderful piece of work.
Bravo.
Now that wasn't Miami Hicks singing, but he was the one that created the lyrics. And yeah, we
That's
need
right.
we need to do that. Yeah, and I love the best part of that was I have no friends because I'm too busy flying. So thank you for doing that. That was awesome. All right, Carlos, do we have any results on the contest?
Are there any more forms to come? Any more competition forms? No? Anyone else? No? No? Okay, so we had 3 in.
Yay.
Huge participation.
Everyone wants your CDs, Mike.
Oh, I can tell. Very, very popular.
Yeah, is that including all the online people as well? All 3?
All 3.
Yeah, it does
Okay.
include them too.
So, as we have a tiebreaker for all 3, the answers actually were, so it was Airplane Geeks was one of them, Airline Pilot Guy Show, Plane Talking UK, Plane Safety Podcast, Aviation Extended, and Hey Techies was one.
Wow. And 3 people actually got that?
No.
Oh. I think it's Mike and I have the
3 100%ers there. No.
And we didn't count Leo Laporte.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
but that's
Leo.
because you go by a nom de plume on that show.
I know, but I get texts from Jeff and Max every time I'm on.
So Liz, I think it's one of that's Liz. This is one of yours, isn't it? Oh, hello, or hello, and Jen. Did you? Well, there's one from Derek, one from Hillel, and one with no name. Carl. Right, so you all got a tie anyway. So I've spoken with Jeff, and he's decided that it will be a question for all three of you, and the closest will win. So the question is, what month and year was the very first Airline Pilot Guy show broadcast? What month and year? So Carl, we'll start with you. Just APG.
Just APG.
Yeah, just APG. What month and year?
January 1922.
Ouch.
Steph, what were you talking about? Paper cups and string? No, Jen, it was you were talking about paper cups and string. That's how he was doing it, huh?
I have the 78.
Any ideas, Carl?
Lax roll.
And no, I'm not going to help you just
No,
because you live just down the road from me. No.
Don't write it down. Just say it.
Month and year.
Month's wrong.
Go on, go for the year, Adrian.
3 guesses.
Oh.
May. 2009. July 2009.
So
we-
May-
there's gonna be two
July
more answers still.
2009.
So we've got May, July 2009. Is that what he said?
July 2009.
July
July
2009.
2009. Okay. Next.
Yeah.
Ooh.
2009, okay. Hello.
Doesn't matter because it was 2010. You switched it to 2011, and it was 2011, and it was probably
And your answer, please?
March.
May 2011.
A true fan.
So here we go for the journey home, Hillel.
Thank you. I took out the CD player from the plane, though.
They fit in the shredder really well.
So well done, Hillel. Well done.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that. That was fun. So, are we ready to try to bring in somebody via Skype? Projector, please. This is a multimedia podcast here. And who do we
Of
have?
course, we're all facing
coming?
the opposite direction from the perspective.
Yeah. No, it's not coming on.
It's like me on a Friday
No,
night.
it-
It takes
it
a little
is.
time
It's
to warm
just-
up.
yeah.
Hey!
It's going.
And right now, Carlos is making bird animals with his fingers.
Here we go.
Really?
Yeah.
If they turn the lights off.
Well, that's okay.
They don't need to see us.
I'm sitting in the dock here.
Blinded by the light.
Okay.
Okay. As you can see, folks, it's a little dark outside.
We haven't got a camera for some reason, so I don't know what.
So,
That's my instrument panel.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can put
Don-
a light on.
Don,
Hold on,
can
we
you
don't
hear
have
us?
your camera yet, so.
Yeah, I'm in the dock, and that's the only place I can get Wi-Fi.
Okay. But
You've been
have
in the
you
dark for a long
clicked
time.
on the camera button there?
So, yeah, it's just dark out.
Oh,
but
so
I'll
it's-
tell you what, I'm going to put the light on in my car. And that should lighten things up a little bit. Oh, the technical problems. Okay, that's on. And that's on. Now you're starting to see, right?
Nope. We actually can't see anything. We just see your little icon.
Turn this around.
Let's all remember
no,
that Don is in charge of looking at jets on a
Right.
daily basis.
Here. Okay, do I look like an airline captain now?
No, but why don't you just, we can hear you, so why don't you, tell us what you want to say to us?
Sorry about that, guys. You just caught me an hour too late.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that's okay if you want to chat. Let me see. What can I do to get light here?
Don, I actually don't think it's going to matter because we just don't have a video feed from you. It's not that we just can't see your video.
Well,
There's
you
just-
got a real weak one.
There's no. There's.
But I'll tell you what. Let me do this. Let me show you.
Try
Let me show you
prayer,
what
Don.
my car
Try
looks like.
prayer.
There we go. Can you see? There's my speedometer. And
Nope. Still nothing. There's just
and
no
here's
video.
my
So.
microphone.
Don,
Can you
take
see
the gaffer
that?
tape off the
Look
camera.
at that! Look at that microphone. Isn't that neat? I mean, it's just unbelievable. Modern inventions.
Don, press the video button, Don. Press the video button.
Yeah,
Turn
you
your
just
video
disappeared.
feed on.
On your camera, Don, we're not getting a video from you.
The camera
I
icon.
disappeared. Okay, let's see what happens. I got it on again.
Don, put your clothes on, please.
Turn the button off. Turn the camera off.
Oh, let's see. Okay, I should have it on. Oh, now I got YouTube on. I got you guys on YouTube. Oh, let's turn around here. I'm gonna get back on Skype.
Yeah. Hey, Don, it was really great contacting you. This is awesome. But
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're enjoying the nighttime. I have to sit in the car because of the mosquitoes.
Be safe, man. Put some repellent on.
We got mosquitoes here. It says I'm already on a call. Yep.
I think your signal's breaking up, man. So we're gonna have to move on. Sorry.
Don, have you been drinking?
All right. We're gonna move on. Oh no. Well, that was Don Sebastian.
Hey, good job, Don.
Yeah. So let's try to get Bobby on.
Hey, Miami Hick, do you have a brother?
Don, if you're listening to this after the fact, sorry that didn't work out. We were looking forward to.
Not sure what happened with the connection there. Not sure what happened with the connection there.
No,
Yeah.
the connection is really
It's all those
shaky.
mosquitoes on the line.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go with Fabian, or Fabian, however you want to say it.
Hi, everyone.
Oh.
Oh man, I'm still laughing about what happened to Rift On.
It was
Too
pretty
funny.
good.
I hope you can see me and hear me good.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
I now figured out why we do on Airplane Geeks only audio.
And recorded.
It's so cool you guys got to meet in Pittsburgh and had a great time at the air show. I wish I could have joined you. It's 3 a.m. now in the morning here.
Oh, wow.
And
You're the man.
Wow.
well, I'm sitting at my parents' house and I had to go to the room with the best Wi-Fi because my room, well, it didn't work, the connection, but I could have shown you some cool airplanes there. What? What is he saying, Matt?
No, sorry, no, ignore me.
Keep going, Fabian.
Nobody knows what he's saying. Sorry, Fabian.
It looks like we had a great time at the air show, and I hope to be there next time for maybe a European meetup, maybe when stuff goes to run the marathon in Berlin.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully we can meet up then. That'd be really
I
nice.
think there's something in the planning with Tillman.
Yep,
Isn't there,
with
or-
Tillman. Yep, he's there. So I think we're going to try and maybe organize a little meetup at least one of the days that I'm there. I'll be there for a couple days, so there should be plenty of time for us to organize
We've got
something.
those magic mugs that Tillman
I
sent
know,
us.
and I can't wait to use
Oh, I need to
that.
go too
Tillman,
I know, right? It's already.
gave us,
I've already
these-
packed it.
Yeah, he gave us these magic mugs, which he said would never empty. if we go to Tillman's Hotel, and it's a microbrewery at his hotel, he said we could just give him these magic glass mugs, which were all engraved.
Yep.
And they would never empty while we were there.
It says it's
So-
bottomless. Now,
Absolutely.
so I don't have any time to spend in Berlin after the marathon, so I'm going to have to use my bottomless mug on the lead up to the marathon. So
Is that how you're going to get your carbs?
Yes.
And
And
Dr. Steph, I found out that I'm going to miss you in Berlin by 1 week.
By 1 week?
By 1 week.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Fabian.
I miss her
Too bad,
already.
Brian.
Wait, go ahead, Fabian.
Well, it's a bread that Brian is gonna miss Steph there. When are you gonna be in Berlin, Brian?
The week before, I believe. I don't know, 13, 14, 15, something like that.
Hold on, I got the dates here. It's
Can
so
I
I'll be
just
there-
point out that this is an aviation podcast? Tinder is available for this sort of stuff.
Swipe right, folks.
Aren't you married? Fabian, tell us a little bit about you. You've been doing some flying recently, haven't you?
Oh, I've been flying, yes. I'm in my IFR training right now. Or better to say my ATPL training. We started IFR training Friday a week ago. And I was out 4 days last week to fly. Always around 1 to 2 hours flying. And it's progressing quite well. Next week there will be 5 days of flying. Monday will be some VFR flying. And the other 4 days will be IFR training again. We fly a Piper 208 Arrow and a VFR flying on a Piper 208 Cadet.
Awesome. So basically, you're doing more flying than all of the other pilots in this room combined.
Pretty much, yes. We're all jealous.
You keep up the good work for us, okay? We're relying on you to keep, you know the
current.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great to see you, Fabian. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for having me and have a great time. And we'll see you and talk to you later.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Thank
Fabian.
you.
Bye, Fabian.
You know, our aviation podcast community is just so awesome, and we have people all around the world that are listening to all of our podcasts, and even locally as well. What's so funny? Did I say
David's
something?
Blinded.
Oh, okay.
Blinded by the light.
So I guess we can turn off the projector, Carlos. Thank you very much.
There we go.
All right. So again,
David, stay away from the light.
Come back.
Anybody in the audience want to? It's open mic. We're kind of getting close to the end of this thing. We've been going for a couple hours.
Open mic Friday, huh?
Open mic Saturday. Yeah.
Barbara's got something to say.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you to Nev and Matt, particularly, for all their hard work. And I know that Matt hasn't been very well, and he overcame his fear of flying, which we all know about. He's been talking about it on the podcast, and he managed to get to Pittsburgh. And I was inspired to write a poem just for him.
What were you saying, Al, about Tinder?
Yes, please read it.
Currently, I can genuinely recommend podcasts. That seems to work quite well. Who needs Tinder?
Okay, here goes. It was Matt's greatest fear to fly like a bird on high, to reach the clouds and travel the sky. Would he ever get to Pittsburgh was the question we often heard. But you came and fought the fears with a smile to replace the tears. And with thanks to Captain Al, your airline pilot, Flight Fear Solutions pal. Matt came, he saw and conquered the skies. And from now on, he just jumps on a plane and flies. But Matt, if you're ever in little doubt that you ain't going, just get a little help from your mate Owen.
I was sure that was going to rhyme with Boeing. There, so
I know.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. That was very nice.
Have we got any questions then from the audience tonight? Anyone, put your hands up if you want to
Questions or comments?
All
or-
comments, yeah.
Complaints.
Oh.
Call us.
Adrian.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
So it's actually. Okay, so question for David.
It's always me, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is. It's always me.
So you mentioned today that there's not much you haven't seen at an air show, particularly military air show, and you mentioned the Orion, but also you mentioned the Harrier, seen a Harrier flying. So can you give us a bit more?
Well, it is kind of amazing that I live 90 miles away from it, the only civilian Sea Harrier in the world. And Art actually flew the show today. It was, I unfortunately was in the cockpit of a P-8, so I was watching it from the nose of the cockpit. But there are a lot of things that I haven't seen that I'd like to over time. But it is kind of funny that I'm probably the only person or one of the few people who grew up who can actually say their father actually ran an air show. I still have the sketch pad. I should send it to Rick of where Dad on graph paper where they were going to park the 130, the 141, the F-105. I have it on graph paper, and he's like, okay, this is the size of the parking. This is the size of the apron. We're going to put the 105 there. We're going to put the 123 there. We're going to put the C7 there. So I have a little more appreciation of what goes beyond the air show, not to mention the trials and tribulations of trying to get the Thunderbirds booked for an air show and the requirements of things like you need 14 vans for all the ground crew and you need a car for every one of the pilots. And they prefer Cadillacs or 4 doors and fully equipped. Luckily, if you have a good dealership, they're happy to provide that. But it's funny that, and I said to Jennifer, spent the day with me. I felt really sorry for her, but she did spend the day with me. And
don't worry, she's spending the night with me.
Yeah, and now the poor woman is as red as Captain Al. But, every time, I've said over time that you go to air shows to see airplanes. I've said this about Oshkosh, but you go back to meet people. This has been awesome in this room. We've got lots of people who all like airplanes. Growing up, it was kind of odd. I liked airplanes, I'm, quote, the military expert, but I like airplanes. We've talked about Oshkosh, and the classic airplanes are my favorite section. I like 195s and 190s and Aerocoups and all of those fantastic aircraft from the 30s and 40s and 50s.
But nothing commercial.
Well, I like commercial too. I just, I stay away from United, but, commercial, I like airplanes, and I know I have the reputation of being the military expert for multiple podcasts, but I like airplanes. But more to the point, over time, I've learned to like people around airplanes. And that's what this room represents, it's people who like airplanes. But eventually they like people who like airplanes. And you can look at things like F-22s and go, wow. I'm sitting next to my co-host who I knew was going to be excited by the engines. But I also sat next to, I walked around with a woman whose favorite thing on the flight line was stairs trucks. And other people who like civilian airplanes. And I got excited when I saw 4 C-130s. All of that combined. But we've had dinners. We've talked about airplanes, but you end up talking about friends and relationships also. You swap beers, you swap stories. When you're freezing, you order pizza because everybody will be happy because they're sitting out in the cold in 40-degree weather listening to a podcast. But it was all worth it. I drove 6.5 hours across the state of Pennsylvania to be here. I couldn't think of any place to be this weekend besides being here. It was awesome.
Any more? Here we go.
Rick, Captain Bell, yeah. So, kind of in the same vein of, kind of in the same vein as these guys. So, what was the thing that got you started to do the air show? Like, what? And forgive me if this has been answered on a podcast, but how did you get started? You know, what made you the guy that got this going?
Temporary insanity, Rick. You can say that.
I love it. Nope. Sorry.
Yes.
It's not a yes or no answer.
Crap.
Family show. I'm saying that for Matt.
Is it true that you were the last to the room when the idea came up and they said the last guy in gets the deal?
No, I walked in the room and was like, "Hey, what's up, guys? What are we doing? Hey, we're having an air show. Oh, that's sweet. You want to do it? Sure." And then here I am. No. So I've been actually involved in the Wings Over Pittsburgh Air Show for I don't even know where to hold this thing. Do I hold it down here? For a couple years now. Man, I am just like everybody else in this room. I absolutely love airplanes. I love this community. I love people who love airplanes. This was the reason why I got involved in this. This is the reason why I wear it as I am today. And yeah, that's why. Because I wanted to give back. Just like everybody else, I wanted to be a part of something that I believed in. I wanted to be a part of something that I thought that got me through the tough times, that paid the bills, that bought my house, and got me married to my beautiful wife, and that's it. I mean, really, honestly, things with Wings kind of got me where I am today. So I wanted to give back. And so to answer your question, I started this because I just liked airplanes. And then it slowly kind of just evolved from there. And, somebody somewhere decided that, I was privileged enough that I did a good enough job that I could do this better. Or not better, but I could do this and pull this off, and now we're all sitting here right now. So, yeah, that's why. That work?
Yeah, good answer, Rick. Good answer.
Anyone else?
I think that our main man might have something to send us off with.
Okay. I'm not that close to the mic, Nev. You have enough gains from me? Do I need to get closer? Okay. Last year in Farnborough. Can you redo that?
Farnborough.
I did something that I had never done before. I did a
Family show.
You said you weren't going to talk about that.
I'm, don't want to embarrass Matt any further, but nonetheless, I did a live piece. I had an idea in my head, and I did a live thing at the end. And what was interesting about that is I guess it was about 2 weeks later, I watched it and found out what I said. And I thought it was okay. And then about 6 months later, I paid somebody to transcribe it so I could remember what I said again. So I kind of figured that it might be a good idea to do something this time. But I have some notes that I'm going to use, and we'll see how it comes out anyway, because I'm not going to go exactly by the notes, because I never do. And if any of you have ever watched live radio on stage being performed, when there are notes or scripts or whatever, the person that's on stage, when he's done with that page, just kind of takes it and throws it so he can get to the next page. So don't think I'm throwing stuff away, although I'm not going to want it back. I got it. But there's going to be stuff going over my shoulder as I go on with this. And let's see how I get through this, because it says a lot of stuff, as you can probably hear already. So as we usually start these things, this is called Pittsburgh. In 3, 2, 1. It was 3:30 in the morning on April 9th of 2017 when I got this idea, actually, and I was exhausted. I had just had a really, really long but an incredibly fun Saturday night, but I had only gotten home about 2 hours before that, and I showered, thank God, right? And I felt okay. I was in bed and just kind of catching up on the Twitter channel. A lot of us participate in. And David Abbey was there because he's sometimes awake at 2 in the morning. He has his first sleep and his second sleep around 2, 3 in the morning. Dave will get up, right, Dave? And he'll be there in the channel. And we were chit-chatting away, talking a bit about Pittsburgh, and it was only 5 weeks away at that time. And that's when I realized why I was looking forward to it so much. So I was in channel, and I told David how pissed off I was at him. I mean, I was just really frustrated and angry at him because he helped me form this idea, and it was 3:30 in the morning, and as usual, I knew that if I didn't get it down on paper someplace, that it was going to disappear. And I thought it was a decent idea. I mean, I didn't write the whole thing, but I thought it was a decent idea, so I got out of bed and went to my computer, and I started writing this. And so all of you know that I'm an airplane geek, and I've been an airplane geek all my life. And now that's airplane geek, that's in small case, small case airplane geek. And recently, I'm also really proud and honored to be an airplane geek with capital letters. Thank you, guys. But let me get back to the small case airplane geek. You see, even though I've been a small case airplane geek ever since I can remember, really, I've only attended 4 air shows in my life, and that counts today. There was a small air show in Athens, Ohio, around 1982, and I went there with my dad. He came out from New Jersey, and that's when I got to ride for the first time. Well, first time, only time, probably never again, in the right seat of a Ford Tri-Motor. That was pretty unbelievable. Then there was Pueblo, Colorado. It was an air show sometime around 1986 that I also got to attend with my dad. He flew out from New Jersey. I was living in Pueblo. And then you guys know the other two. There was Farnborough. And today, here at Wings Over Pittsburgh. Now, I've been to the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome and also went with my dad, and I saw their flying circus. And in fact, you probably heard me talk about that at one point on Airplane Geeks episode 339, for those of you at home paying attention, and I called that Lou's Flight of Fancy. And Max remembers that in particular because there's a pretty funny picture of me on the website from that episode. You can go look for yourself. And I also visited the static display of the Collings Foundation when they came to Portland. That was over 10 years ago. And in fact, actually, I got to tell you about that experience with the Collings Foundation and how I found out about it. You see, it was a really cloudy, incredibly cloudy, really warm and foggy day in Portland. And it was sometime in September. And I was driving down the street that the approach to runway 18 crossed, and I started to hear a roar. I knew it was an airplane. Obviously, I knew it was an airplane. And I had no idea what it was, but I opened the windows to my car and slowed down, and the roar got louder. Now, at this point, I knew it was the sound of a radial engine. I couldn't identify it. Max would have known what it was right away, but I couldn't identify it. And I looked up, and out of the fog came 4 Wright R1820-97 Cyclone radios, and those were attached to a Boeing B-17G Flying Fortress. And with the foggy weather and the gray skies, I felt like I was in an old black and white movie. It was probably 12 o'clock high, and I expected to see Gregory Peck and Dean Jagger come show up at any moment, come walking out of the fog. I mean, it was just magical. It was surreal. It was just unbelievable. And so that night I called my dad. He was in New Jersey, and I told him about seeing that B-17 come out of the fog and make its approach for landing, and I told him about the static display that weekend and how I wished that we could go together. And you should have heard my dad. He had to be 82 years old at the time, something around that. He was as excited as I was, just a little kid, and he really wanted to come along too. But you know, he was in New Jersey. He couldn't do that. He was 350 miles away. So the next day I went to see that B-17. I went by myself. And I was by myself because, you know, no one I knew had an interest in going. Remember, I'm an airplane geek, and back then it was still small case. And you know, I enjoyed the display, and I even got a chance to get inside that B-17. And as you know, it's one of my very favorite aircrafts, David. But it was really lonely. It was pretty sad, actually. And it was sad because I really didn't have anyone to share that feeling of excitement with. It was sad because I had no one who could also see the beauty in that old World War II era bomber. See, up until then, I'd only been to 2 other air shows, and both of them with my dad, the man who made me the airplane geek that I am today. And we never talked about it much, he and I. I mean, men seldom do. You know, we don't talk about those things, you know, doing those things together, but though it's like, you know, going to air shows and going to museum trips, building modern airplanes, even watching 12 O'Clock High together. That's how we said we loved each other. Fathers and sons are just sort of funny that way. And excuse me. This is not crying. This is actually a runny nose. The crying will probably come later. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about my dad. I'm talking about air shows and today's meetup at Wings over Pittsburgh. That's what it's all about now. Do you remember last year in Farnborough? And I hope I got it right that time, but last year in Farnborough, well, I mentioned that a little earlier. I told you a bit about my mom, Harriet, and her family, and how through all her life, my mother adopted family, and all the aunts and uncles and cousins I had who I was never really related to. You may remember back then I talked to you about my Krepluk brother. And many of you have met him now. His name's Eric. He's right over there. And, well, back then last July I talked about how at Farnborough it felt like I had met new family and new old friends. Well, chatting with David Abbey, he said late that night back in April, it dawned on me that I was looking forward to Pittsburgh, not because of all the great airplanes and all the flying. I really remembered actually what David just said, because he'd said it before. You know, you go to the air show for the first time for the airplanes, you go back for the people. What I was looking forward to here at Pittsburgh today was this family reunion. And even more interesting, some of this family I hadn't even met yet. Like Liz, Jen, Hick, and, you know, Adrian. More, I can't name everybody, but I mean, sure, I love airplanes, I love air shows, and we all do, you know, we all love it. And of course, I mean, I had a great time just watching the Thunderbirds yesterday and today, and interviewing the pilots and walking around that F-35 and being aboard that DC-4. But as I said, if you can't share that with others, I mean, who see the same beauty, and what many people see is, well, they don't even really see it. It's lonely. It's depressing. But when you share it with family and friends, people who get it when you say, look at that F-18. It's just gorgeous. You know, how can you describe that to anyone other than to the people here in this room? How can you tell someone that just doesn't get it? You see, it was during that early morning chat that I finally understood that this wasn't an air show. It was a family reunion of sorts, and a family that I've become closer with over the past year, and a family that's grown. I mean, I remember talking about Wings over Pittsburgh with Captain Jeff, and we were just talking about it in passing. The idea wasn't quite fully formed. It was back when we recorded episode 246 in my kitchen in South Portland. And whoever would have thought that would happen, you know? That airline pilot guy would be in my kitchen in South Portland, and I'd be feeding Jeff minestrone soup that I just made the day before. You know, unreal. That was when I really realized that this was much more than a meetup. And I think back on meeting Captain Rick for the first time. He had an overnight in Portland, and we were at some Mexican restaurant. We talked about this weekend's events, and you heard a good part of that conversation because it included an interview that Jeff played on Airline Pilot Guide 262. You heard it, but you didn't see Rick's face. You see it now, and you see how he's all lit up, and I don't mean drunk. He may be that too, but he was all lit up. And yeah, you're right, exactly. And Master Sergeant, whatever, if you're hearing this, I just made that up. He hasn't had a thing to drink, but you couldn't see how excited he was to bring us this event, and how excited we both were about being able to get together with our friends and our aviation podcast family. When I got a text, Rick and I talked about it, and this was just so surreal to me. I think there was an email, and I called you back at some point, Rick. You were in a car, and you said, "Main man Micah, I'm really talking to you?" And I said, huh, "Yeah, well, but it's just an unreal feeling that happened." Well, it was just a few weeks after I talked to Rick when Max and David said they were going to be here, and that's when I knew I'd be visiting with some of my Airplane Geeks family, and that's Airplane Geeks in uppercase now, okay? And I think back of planning for this event, and Nev telling me he was coming and was flying British Air, of course, through Toronto, and then he was going to drive down to Pittsburgh with Liz and pass through Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls!
Slowly. Step by step.
I remember talking to Carlos and figuring out if he was going to be able to be here or not. And we were searching for airfares together over Skype, searching through Kayak. He's checking this website, and I'm checking that website, and trying to figure out if we can find the cheapest fare, and going through all that and all the craziness that took place doing that, and finally figuring out he was going to be here. And then I was so disappointed to find out that he was really coming. No, I was really incredibly disappointed when Matt said he wasn't going to be coming. He wasn't going to be able to make it. And then how elated I was. I mean, just thrilled when he was going to be able to make it, and that he was going to be able to work and really work with Al and with Owen and with himself to overcome his fears, to get on a plane by himself and cross the Atlantic Ocean, not just on a plane, but also coming to the USA for the very, very first time.
And also flying on United. But
I was just thrilled. And then it was shortly after that when Brian said, "Well, if Nev, Carlos, and Matt are going, there's no way I'm going to miss it." And that really made me really happy, because you got to remember something, that the only air show I ever attended without my dad was with Brian. So attending an air show with Brian is really special. Thank you. So I remember Captain Al asking me about the food specialties in Pittsburgh, and how I was able to give him all sorts of information and websites, because they were all provided me from my Kreplach brother. And then I got to say that even though Eric and I, my Kreplach brother and I, have been friends for almost 30 years, and by the way, I can't believe that I'm old enough to say that I've had a friend for 30 years, but yeah, we both are. And this is our first road trip together. And that was exciting in and of itself, because, I mean, I'm just really sorry you couldn't be in the car with us. We were practically hosting our own radio talk show the whole way. And it was kind of like a Seinfeld-style radio talk show, because we talked about nothing for 7 hours. But we did for 7 hours. And so it's really been, and you need to start pouring, by the way. It's really been a year of podcast family. We started this amazing Twitter chat that never seems to end. It started kind of as a way to make a surprise birthday recording for Captain Jeff, and just grew and grew and grew, and Andy even made a logo for it. And lots of things have happened through that chat. Ray Davis motivated me to write a brief eulogy for Gene Cernan. During my niece Hannah had a 12-hour layover in Toronto on her way to Brussels for her semester, and lovely Liz offered to show her around that city. I'd never met Liz. Tillman arranged for Hannah to have these beautiful accommodations at his hotel during her visit to Berlin. And just a few weeks ago, she needed emergency surgery for her to have a gallbladder removed. And Short messaged me and said, "This is my phone number. If she needs anything, you let me know." And by the way, she did fine, and she made it home today. Finally, I guess, the other great part about this meetup is the podcast itself. This podcast that's happening right now, there are so many people. I mean, some I've just mentioned and some who couldn't be here today. I mean, Pip and Mila, Pip especially, I really missed him. And, well, Fabian we sort of saw, and we heard from Matthew Bunting-Frayne, and there's Nelson and Phil, and Rob Mark isn't here, and Max Trescott isn't here, and there are just too many to name, but they all can be here because, in fact, they are here either in the chat room now or some of them may be here later listening to this podcast. Not Rob Mark, but most of the others. So, you see, I guess what makes it so special and what makes this meetup a family reunion of sorts, is not just an air show, is that we're all here together, whether we're here physically or not. So thanks to you, Captain Rick Bell, for suggesting that we consider having a meetup at Wings Over Pittsburgh. And thanks to you, Captain Jeff, for agreeing to putting it all together. And more importantly, Jeff, I'm not going to embarrass you this year and say that you created this community. You didn't. I will thank you. I will thank you, though, for starting the Catholic Pilot and now Airline Pilot Guy podcast, and for continuing to put all the work you put into it every week, and for giving us this aviation podcast community of sorts and this rallying point that's created these special friendships and this new extended family. So for the Airline Pilot Guy and aviation podcast community here today in Coriopolis, Pennsylvania, this is your main man, Micah, and I ask you to please join me in a toast to, first of all, my grandfather, Max, who loved Jack Daniels, as you know if you heard that story, and Hillel, you got it first on your show, on the thing. And to my father, who also loved it because he learned it from him, and to my mother, and to all of us here. Hear, hear.
Wow, thank you, Micah. That was touching, very deep. I think it touched a lot of emotions in many of us here, and we could really identify with so many things that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think Micah's really encapsulated. I mean, why we do this. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we do these podcasts, but I think really the principal reason is what you talked about, what you captured. As long as we can keep doing that, as long as we can keep building the community, expanding the community, facilitating the community coming together, all growing, then we just keep doing it. We just keep doing it. That's why we do it.
Exactly.
And to dovetail off of what Max says, we wouldn't be up here doing this if it wasn't for all you guys listening remotely and sitting in this room. You are why we do this.
Yeah.
Brian, I've just been checking on Twitter, and I've just been reading through United's latest tweets, and apparently United have sent a direct message about you. Says, Brian Coleman, can't wait to have you back on United as a passenger. We have a special seat reserved just for you, manufactured by Martin Baker.
That's so nice. There's customer service right there.
But will I get the tie if I sit in that seat and use it?
You won't have a parachute, so no, you won't get the tie. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up, unless anybody has anything else to say. Oh,
We have
I
one
believe-
objection. One
Oh, okay. Yeah. Overruled.
So,
Stephen.
I just have one question. When are we going to do this again?
We're not even finished with this one yet.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I mean, I got up here Wednesday and it was like, man, what am I going to do the whole weekend? And I've done nothing but hang out with everybody, talk, and I won't comment on how much alcohol has been consumed.
Yeah, that's always something that happens.
I can always pull the photograph of the back of my truck.
This is true. This is true.
Stephen, I have a little bit of reading for you to do, because your Mooney is a lovely, lovely aeroplane. But you've got to start reading up on the spruce routes to get it across the Atlantic to Europe. That's your challenge.
So what does that mean?
Well, it means first I'm going to have an engine overhaul because I'm over 600 hours on my engine. So we'll get that fixed. Then we'll come across the Atlantic maybe. And we'll put in the external tank that goes on the inside the cabin. And then we can have Nick navigate.
No, you don't want that. Mate, why did they think they sent me to Phantoms? It's because I gave me a navigator. I didn't have to do that stuff.
Well, so you can navigate, and I'll just look at the iPad and tell you where to go.
Okay, that's good. By the way, everyone, Stephen has got a great new job opportunity coming up. He's having to leave tomorrow. So I just want to wish you very well, good luck with your interview, and I hope everything goes well.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it, Nick. But in all seriousness, I mean, I know it's a long way for a lot of us to come. I mean, I flew 3.5 hours. A lot of y'all flew over 8.5 across the Atlantic to come over. But once a year is not enough. I mean, this is really a great time. I mean,
Oh, no, really, it's enough.
What are you talking about?
But yeah, that's just all I have to say. I'd like to be able to do this more often than not. So
yes.
Yeah, I think my wife would agree, because when I sort of ran this by her, she went, "Oh, well, great, you're going away for a week again." I went, "No, it's just for a weekend." Oh.
I can relate to that, actually.
I can send you all one. That's all.
So yeah, we'll have to take a look at maybe doing this more often than just once a year, and then also take a look at maybe heading across the pond again for something next year. Nothing? Yeah, that's just
Oshkosh. There's always Oshkosh.
Oshkosh as well, yeah.
Yeah, so Captain Jeff, I think this is a challenge to our listeners to come up with next air show and
No, we don't
let
want
the
to ask
masses
them.
know.
All right. Speaking of a new job for Stephen, someone else here in our room has been looking at some new employment and asked for some good karma from the aviation community, the APG community. So yes.
Yeah, thank you. So a perfect example of what Micah was saying and what Max was confirming about the family was I had gotten a gut punch from a work situation. It really had me looking at what I was going to do next. And it was a situation I couldn't really discuss openly for lots of different reasons, but I knew that I could go to the chat on Twitter and seek advice or whatever. And I said, you know what I really need right now is I really need some good karma. And I had some opportunities, and I was hoping to get a particular job. It wasn't necessarily the best solution, but it was all in aviation, because I said to myself, I really need to get out of what I'm doing, and I really need to get into aviation, because I can't shut up about it. And so, this is ironic because I'm an aerospace engineer. So I ended up getting out of aviation for a long time, and And so I was looking to get back in, but not in the same way. I really needed to be much more functional, much more operational. So I went to the chat room and said, hey guys, I could really use some good karma. And that's really the only place I went. I didn't talk to a lot of family, didn't talk to a lot of friends. I said, I'm going to go into my aviation BFFs, and I'm going to ask them for aviation karma, because that's what I wanted to get into. And in the process of pursuing one of the opportunities that had presented itself to me, I was introduced to a completely different opportunity. And as a result, it's a little still unofficial, because it's a venture-backed organization and we haven't actually gotten the money yet. But so things are still under wraps. But effectively, while I can't discuss too much about it, I landed the CTO, CIO position of a venture-backed startup in the, get this, David, precision agriculture. Yeah.
Go drones!
Yes, so I will be creating the product that provides the service to collect sensor-based data from UAVs and delivering it back to farmers as solutions. Putting the world back together again without all the nonsense that we've been killing the planet with. Only now doing it with the technology that we have available, and they couldn't find somebody. They've been searching for a couple of years. And they're like, wait a minute, dude, you've got project management, you've got aviation, you've got the technology, you've been coaching companies, you've been doing this. It was like the perfect fit at the perfect time within days of asking for the karma. So that's, so within about exactly a month from tomorrow, we should be coming back from Silicon Valley with a very big check. So, thank you everybody for all of your karma. And I really do give the credit for the good thoughts to everybody. So thank you that, and thanks Rick for inviting us.
And Hillel, did the political correctness advice that I gave you for the interview, did that work okay?
That was great, yes. They totally didn't come back for more.
All right, we've been going for quite a while, and I think everybody's ready, I think, to...
Dinner. Beer.
Yeah, so, but hey,
IPA.
don't everybody leave. We're gonna stop the official podcast here, the special podcast, but we have something special that we're going to do right thereafter. And so, again, don't go anywhere, okay? So,
yeah, because there's an exit fee, folks.
You know, I have to tell Rick something that, you know, we talked about things that I didn't ever have heard on an air show or seen at an air show. Today was the first time ever I got told by a security guard, if you don't have a military ID, you can't get off base. So I showed him my medium creds, and he goes, oh, you're David Vanderhoof, you're excused.
Hotel California. Sounds good. Anything else?
No.
No? Okay. Well, with that, unless somebody has any further objections, we're going to go ahead and end this. It's been great. Thanks to everybody who came and spent lots of money to get here for a short period of time to just spend some crazy time with aviation geeks. I mean, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming. Wish you good clear skies and limited visibility and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
Fly safely.
Come on, everybody say something.
That's a wrap.
Stick a fork in it.
I won the nugget competition. Woo!
Thanks for listening.
Can I go home now?
And thanks everybody out there watching us live and participating in the chat room. You guys are awesome.
Go United!
Go somewhere.
And then, as I mentioned, we have a special young lady up here named Barbara who has something special to present.
Matt, the stream is off, right?
The stream is closing now. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.